"You're not coming to the wedding," Mom texted. "Lily's family doesn't want you there." That was it. No apology, no kindness, just a cold message on my phone. I looked at it, read it again. My coffee sat next to me, getting cold. I thought for a second, then replied, "So, you chose status over family?" No emojis, no sarcasm, just the truth. Then I opened my laptop, logged into the wedding planning site, canceled the venue deposit. It was booked under my name, paid with my card. They didn't even know. And the best part, it wasn't refundable. I closed the laptop and just sat there, staring at the wall. I didn't feel sad or angry yet, just quiet, like something inside me shifted. This wasn't the first time they pushed me aside. It had been happening for years, little things, like missing my birthday or joking at my expense. They made Lily the golden child. I was just the one who got things done. I helped plan this whole wedding, picked the dress shop, found the caterer, booked places for guests to stay. I even made their website. But now, because Lily's dad didn't like my energy, I was out, just like that. They only needed me when it was convenient, and now that they had what they wanted, they left me behind. So I took action. I opened the shared wedding folder and deleted everything I had uploaded: photos, contracts, schedules, 63 files gone. Then I renamed the folder, "Good Luck Without Me." I didn't tell anyone. I didn't warn them. I just waited for them to realize. No florist confirmation, no photographer, and an email from the venue saying the booking was cancelled. They thought I'd stay quiet, that I'd take it like always. But this wasn't just about the wedding. This was the last straw in years of being used and ignored. They handed me the scissors, and I finally cut the cord. They wanted me gone, fine, but they didn't expect I'd leave with everything they built on my back. And this was just the beginning. They say I'm dramatic, that I overreact. So let me explain how I got here. 6 months ago, Lily called me crying. Zach lost his job. They were behind on rent. I didn't even think twice. I sent her $3,800. That was the third time I helped that year. I gave Dad $5,000 to fix his retirement account. I paid for Lily's bachelorette Airbnb, which they trashed under my name. I kept proof, not because I wanted revenge, but because I needed to remind myself I wasn't imagining it. I was pouring money and time into a family that treated me like a backup plan. It wasn't just the money, it was the way they treated me after, like a servant, like I didn't matter. One time while I was fixing Dad's gutters in a storm, he joked that I should be a house husband since I wasn't a man enough to earn more. Everyone laughed. When I told Mom it hurt, she said I was too sensitive. When Lily got engaged, I found out over FaceTime. My parents were in the background celebrating. They helped plan the whole thing. No one told me. Still, I tried. I paid for the engagement photos, built the website, helped design the invitations, and paid the venue deposit when Mom's card didn't work. I gave and gave. And then the rumors started. "Aunt Megan, I heard you're not invited? Uncle Jeff, did you say something to Zach's dad?" Then I saw the Facebook post. A happy photo of Lily and Zach with my parents in front of the wedding venue. The caption, "So proud of our family, can't wait for the big day with all the right people by our side." I wasn't tagged. I wasn't one of the right people. I saw a comment under the photo. One of Lily's friends asked, "Is Jack going to be there? He was always so funny." Lily replied, "We're keeping it small. Just people we trust. Just people we trust." I didn't sleep that night. I went through every receipt, every email, all the times they made me feel selfish for asking to be paid back. And I finally realized, I was the only one in the family who gave everything without asking for anything back. And I was the only one who got nothing. A week later, we all got a group text. "Hi, family, can everyone help pay for Lily's bridal shower decorations? Jack, since you're good with websites, can you make an RSVP page? Hugs." I didn't answer. Then Lily messaged me directly. "Can you just do this one thing without being passive-aggressive?" Instead of replying, I did something else. I logged into the wedding venue account and requested a refund. It was supposed to be non-refundable, but I had quietly bought wedding insurance when I booked it. I filed a claim under family conflict. They gave me back 90%. Then I opened Canva and deleted everything I designed: RSVPs, signs, table layouts, gone. I made one last file and called it, "Ask Zach's dad to fix this." Then I shared it with the whole family. That's when everything blew up. 3 hours later, Mom called me in a panic. What are you doing? Do you know how this looks? I said, yes, that's why I'm doing it. Then Dad called, already yelling, you've always been jealous of Lily. You just can't stand that she's doing better than you. I hung up. Later, my phone blew up. Lily posted on Instagram, betrayal always comes from those closest to you. Then Mom posted a photo of Lily crying with the caption, nothing hurts more than your own brother trying to ruin your special day. Friends and cousins started messaging me. Some asked if I was okay. Most didn't. They just asked, why would you ruin her wedding? I didn't respond to any of them. Then I got a package. No return address. Just a yellow envelope. Inside was a printed screenshot from Lily's group chat with her bridesmaids. She was laughing. We'll get Jack to pay for the cake too. Just guilt him about being the only brother. Works every time. Another message. Zach doesn't even like him. Says Jack gives him the creeps. LOL. And finally, he won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Watch. There was a sticky note on top. Handwritten. You deserve better, K. I didn't know who K was, but I'd find out, because K had more than screenshots, she had audio. And once I heard it, I knew exactly what I was going to do at the rehearsal dinner. It was held at a fancy vineyard about 30 minutes outside the city. They called it rustic luxury. I called it overpriced wine and fairy lights stapled to trees. But I showed up, calm, clean, focused. I didn't come to eat, I came to end the circus. I walked in while they were making a toast. Lily was laughing. Zach had his arm around her. Dad looked tense. Mom didn't meet my eyes. They didn't expect me to show up. I was supposed to be the villain, the bitter brother who couldn't let go. But I wasn't bitter. I was finished. I walked right up to the front. Sorry to interrupt, I said, tapping a glass. Everyone went quiet. Someone laughed awkwardly. Lily frowned. I pulled a small speaker from my jacket, set it on the table. Then I held up a flash drive. Zach stood up. What are you doing? I looked at him. Giving you exactly what you deserve. I hit play. Lily's voice came through the speaker, laughing. We'll get Jack to pay for the cake, too. Just guilt him about being the only brother. Works every time. The room went silent. Someone gasped. A fork hit a plate. I didn't move. Another voice. Zach doesn't even like him. Says Jack gives him the creeps. LOL. Zach turned pale. Lily rushed forward to grab the speaker. I stepped in front of her. Sit down, I said. It wasn't a question. Then the final clip. He won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Watch. I paused the recording. Looked around. Any questions? Zach opened his mouth, then closed it again. My dad stood up, looking really angry. You think this is okay? This is how you act, he said. Sit down, I said sharply, and for the first time ever, he actually did. I turned to Lily. I spent more than $11,000 on your wedding. I made your website, found your venue, paid for your florist. I did all of it because I thought we were family. Lily was shaking, tears smudging her mascara. You don't understand. No, I said. You never understood. You didn't want a brother, you wanted someone to pay for everything. Then I took out a folder, full of proof. Texts, receipts, screenshots. All the times I paid for things. All the times they ignored it. Even the messages where Lily called me their free wedding planner. I gave it to Zach, her fiancé. You still want to marry her? I asked. He looked at the papers. He didn't say a word. Then a woman stood up from the back of the room. She wore a gray coat and had a badge. Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen. I work in digital forensics. And I checked the recordings Jack got. They're real, no editing. I got them from Lily's old WhatsApp account. Lily's jaw dropped. My mom gasped. Dad shouted, "Is this a joke?" Kristen smiled. Nope, it's all legit. Then Zach turned to Lily. You told me Jack threatened you. You said he was dangerous, but you lied. She reached for him. Zach, wait, don't touch me, he said. Everything exploded. People were yelling. Someone knocked over a glass. My mom couldn't even speak. And I just stood there, calm, watching it all fall apart. When it got loud, I raised my voice. I'm not coming to the wedding. You already kicked me out, but now it's without my money, my help, Or my silence. I turned to my parents. You cut me off the second I stopped being useful, so now I'm cutting the cord. And just as I walked out, Zach said, I'm calling off the wedding. Lily screamed. You can't do this here. Oh, I said. He just did. Then I left. No dramatic music. No big scene. Just the sound of their world falling apart behind me. I didn't go home. I didn't even take the highway. I drove to a quiet place up north where no one knew me. A month earlier, I'd rented a tiny cottage in a small town. Barely 600 people lived there. One diner, one gas station. No one asked questions. That's why I picked it. I paid for 6 months up front. No address forwarding. No digital trail. Just peace and quiet. The first few days, I turned off my phone. Didn't check anything. Just drank coffee on the porch and listened to birds argue over trees. I didn't feel like I won. I felt free. No stress. No guilt. No one asking for money. No fake affection. On day 4, I went into town and signed up for a class on preserving old records, history, documents, things that don't lie. It felt right. I helped out at the local museum, sorted old photos, fixed a broken machine. No one thanked me. I didn't care. It was finally mine. Then, a week later, the messages started. People emailing my backup account. Can we talk? You went too far. We're still family. Then came the missed calls. A lot of them. I didn't answer. They didn't want peace. They just wanted control back. What scared them wasn't what I showed. It was that I disappeared. They weren't in charge anymore, and that scared them most. 3 weeks later, a court letter showed up at my old apartment. My dad had tried to sell some family property, not knowing I'd already locked the deed years ago after he tried to use it without telling me. That move triggered a legal problem. Result: the sale failed. The buyer walked. And my dad got hit with a fraud investigation. I didn't make that happen. I just didn't stop it. No blog post. No group chat rant. I just walked away. No birthday calls. No rescue money. No, maybe next time. And that's what broke them the most. Because people like that don't fear punishment. They fear being ignored. They fear not having an audience. And now, I wasn't watching anymore. One morning, I went to the post office to pick up a small package I had ordered. While I was standing in line, the person behind me was on the phone. I overheard them say something like, I heard Lily's fiancé left right before the wedding, and then her brother just disappeared with all his money. I didn't turn around. I didn't say anything. I didn't explain. I just stayed quiet. No address. No phone. No way to reach me. They thought silence meant I was weak. But really, it was my choice. A calm, final goodbye without words. They can't guilt me anymore. They can't ask for help with bills. They can't pretend everything is okay just to get more out of me. Because now, there is no us, just them, and silence. You know what's strange? When you walk away from people who always leaned on you, they don't fall right away. They just freeze, like the world stopped and they don't know how to restart it. That's what happened after everything fell apart. Even after I left, they still thought I'd come back. Because I always did. But this time, I didn't. I changed my number, not just the SIM, new provider, new country code. No one could reach me. I shut down the bank account my dad used just in case. Sent all my mail to a private digital folder. Took their names off my medical forms. Even changed the emergency contact on my license from a mom to no one. Now, they don't know where I am. They don't know if I'm still in the country, or even alive. And that drives them crazy. A month ago, I went back one last time. Not to the house, not to see them. I drove past the wedding venue, the one I canceled. It was empty now, for sale. A bouquet was lying in the dirt. It felt right. I rolled down the window. The air smelled like rain and something lost. Before I left, I stopped by the mailbox near the gate. I dropped in an envelope with no name on it. Inside was the last wedding bill I paid. On top, I stuck a post-it note, thanks for nothing. Sometimes, I log into my old email just to see what they've sent. One unread message said, please talk to us. I didn't open it. Another said, we don't know who you are anymore. That one made me smile. Because now, they're finally right. I'm not the guy who paid their bills late at night. I'm not the backup plan. Not the wedding planner. Not the one who always forgave and forgot. I'm someone else now. Living a new life. And they can't touch it. Last week, I got a new mailbox. It's strong, metal, with a lock. Once something goes in, it doesn't come back out. The installer asked what name I wanted on it. I said, no name, just a message. So now, on a small brass plate, it says, this box does not accept apologies. And the quiet I hear now? It's not loneliness. It's peace.
The day my sister Laura told me I wasn't really family because I'd never married was also the day I remembered what Grandma Isabel had whispered to me on her deathbed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Peyton, and until last Tuesday, I thought being a successful architect at 34 meant I had my life together. I was wrong. You can't be serious, I said, staring at the papers Laura had thrust into my hands. We were sitting in her pristine kitchen, the afternoon sun streaming through windows I'd actually designed for her renovation last year. You're cutting me out of your will because I'm single? Laura smoothed her silk blouse, a gesture she'd perfected over years of delivering uncomfortable truths. It's not just about being single, Peyton. It's about legacy, family. When I'm gone, I want my assets going to people who understand the importance of carrying on our traditions. I'm your sister. My voice cracked. How does my marital status change that? Look around you. Laura gestured to the family photos lining her walls. Wilfred and I have built something here. What have you built besides other people's houses? The familiar ache of never quite measuring up burned in my chest. I've built a career, a life. Just because it doesn't fit your cookie-cutter version of success. Don't start. Laura cut me off. Mom agrees with me. You're 34, Peyton. No husband, no kids, not even a serious relationship since that disaster with Marcus 3 years ago. I stood up so quickly my chair scraped against the tile. Leave Marcus out of this. And Mom? Of course she agrees with you. She's been planning our wedding since we were in diapers. She just wants what's best for us, Laura said, her voice softening in that patronizing way that made me want to scream. Remember what Grandma Isabel always said about family being everything? That's when it hit me. Grandma Isabel's last words, whispered to me alone in that hospital room 6 months ago. The truth about our family, in my blue box, would change everything. I'd forgotten about it until now, dismissed it as the ramblings of a woman on morphine. But Grandma had been lucid that day, her eyes sharp as she'd gripped my hand. You know what? I said, gathering my purse. Grandma Isabel also taught me that family isn't just about who you marry. It's about who you love. Laura rolled her eyes. Don't dramatize this. It's a practical decision. Practical? I laughed, but it came out hollow. Was it practical when I stayed up 3 nights straight redesigning your kitchen for free? When I helped Wilfred plan your surprise anniversary party? Peyton. Wilfred's voice came from the doorway, making us both jump. He stood there awkwardly, briefcase in hand. I didn't know you were coming over. I was just leaving, I said, brushing past him. Apparently I'm not family enough to stick around. Laura, I heard him say behind me. What did you do? I was halfway to my car when Laura called after me. You're being childish. This is exactly why... I spun around. Why what? Why I don't deserve to be acknowledged as your sister? You know what's childish? Thinking that a piece of paper and a white dress somehow make you more worthy of family? That's not what this is about. Then what is it about? I demanded, keys cutting into my palm as I clenched them. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're punishing me for living my life differently than yours. Laura's face flushed. I'm protecting our family's values. Values? I scoffed. Like what Grandma Isabel valued. Something flickered across Laura's face. Uncertainty. Maybe fear. What's that supposed to mean? I thought about the blue box, about Grandma's secret, and suddenly I knew exactly what I needed to do. Nothing, I said, getting into my car. Nothing at all. Yet. As I drove away, I called Cousin Rosie. She answered on the second ring. "Remember when you said you'd help me go through Grandma's things?" I asked, turning onto the highway. "I need that help now." "Finally!" Rosie exclaimed. "I've been waiting for you to ask. When?" I checked my rearview mirror, half expecting to see Laura following me. "Tonight. There's something specific we need to find. A blue box." "Does this have anything to do with Laura?" Mom mentioned she was making changes to her will. "Let's just say," I replied, a plan already forming in my mind, that Grandma Isabel might have left us the key to changing everything. As I headed home, I couldn't shake the memory of Grandma's knowing smile that last day, or the way she'd squeezed my hand 3 times, our secret code for "I love you" since I was little. She'd known this day would come, known I'd need her help one last time. Well, Laura wanted to talk about family legacy. I was about to show her exactly what that meant. As we take a brief pause, we'd love to know where you're watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below. Now, back to our story. That's the 3rd box of letters we've gone through. Rosie sighed, brushing dust from her jeans. Still no sign of anything blue. We sat cross-legged in my grandmother's attic, surrounded by decades of family history. The space smelled of cedar and old paper, and the setting sun cast long shadows through the single window. "It has to be here somewhere," I said, pulling another box closer. "Grandma Isabel wouldn't have mentioned it if—" I stopped mid-sentence, lifting out a yellowed envelope. "What is it?" Rosie scooted closer. "Look at the date." I turned the envelope over. 1952. And it's addressed to "My dearest Isabella," not Isabel. Rosie frowned. "I thought Grandma always went by Isabel." "She did." I carefully opened the envelope, its seal long since weakened by time. Inside was a photograph that made my breath catch. "Rosie, look at this." The black and white image showed a younger version of my grandmother, but she wasn't alone. A striking woman stood beside her, their hands clasped tightly together. They were both laughing at something off camera, looking more carefree than I'd ever seen in our family albums. "Who's that with her?" Rosie asked, taking the photo for a closer look. "No idea, but check out what's written on the back." Rosie flipped it over. "Isabella and Maria, Florence. That's all it says." "I've never heard of any Maria," I said, digging deeper into the box. "And why Florence? Our family didn't move to Italy until—" "Peyton?" a voice called from downstairs. "Are you up there?" I froze. "Mom?" Footsteps creaked on the stairs, and moments later, my mother's face appeared through the attic hatch. "What are you two doing here?" Laura called me. "She's worried sick about—" She stopped, eyes fixing on the photograph in Rosie's hands. "Mom?" I watched her face pale. "Do you know who Maria is?" She climbed the rest of the way up, moving with unusual hesitation. "Where did you find that?" "In this box of letters. Mom, what's going on?" She sat down heavily on an old trunk. "I never thought—" "Your grandmother made me promise never to tell anyone." "Tell anyone what?" Rosie and I asked in unison. Mom reached for the photo, hands trembling slightly. "Maria was— she was your grandmother's first love, before she met your grandfather." The attic fell silent except for the distant sound of traffic outside. "First love?" I repeated. "You mean, they met in Florence when your grandmother was studying art. It was a different time, you understand. These things weren't accepted." "Holy shit," Rosie whispered. I thought about all the times Grandma Isabel had defended me when Laura or Mom criticized my lifestyle choices, the knowing looks she'd give me during family dinners when marriage came up. "Did Grandpa know?" Mom nodded slowly. "He knew. He loved your grandmother enough to give her away to be part of both worlds. They had an understanding." "Does Laura know any of this?" "No one knows except me. And now you two." Mom looked at me sharply. "Whatever you're thinking, Peyton." "I'm thinking about family," I cut in. "About how Grandma lived with this secret her whole life because of traditional values. The same values Laura's using to push me away. That's different, Mom protested, but her voice lacked conviction. Is it? I stood up, renewed purpose flooding through me. Where's the blue box, Mom? The one Grandma mentioned before she died? She blinked. How do you know about that? She told me to find it. Said it would change everything. Mom was quiet for a long moment, then, it's not here. It's in Tuscany, in the old family villa. She left it there last summer before. She didn't finish the sentence. Then that's where I'm going. I pulled out my phone, already searching for flights. Peyton, wait. Mom grabbed my arm. There are things in that box. Letters, documents, things that could hurt people. Or heal them, I countered. Don't you think it's time our family stopped hiding who we really are? Rosie stood up. I'm coming with you. You can't just fly off to Italy, Mom protested. Watch me. I showed her my phone screen. There's a flight tomorrow night. Perfect timing, too. Laura's planning that big family gathering at the villa next month, isn't she? Peyton. Mom's voice held a warning note. Don't use this to get back at your sister. This isn't about revenge, Mom. It's about truth. About showing Laura that family is more than her narrow definition of it. I tucked the photograph into my pocket. Grandma understood that. Maybe it's time everyone else did too. Mom looked between us, then sighed deeply. The key, she said finally. You'll need the key to open it. I'll get it for you. As she disappeared down the attic stairs, Rosie turned to me. You know this could blow up in our faces, right? I thought about Laura's dismissive words, about Grandma's secret love, about all the ways our family had twisted itself to fit into acceptable shapes. Maybe it needs to blow up, I said. Maybe that's the only way to build something real. Back in my studio, I spread the old photograph across my drafting table, studying every detail under the bright work lights. My fingers traced the outline of Isabella and Maria, their joy radiating through time. This is it, I muttered, grabbing my sketchbook. The idea had been forming since we left the attic, and now it poured onto the page in swift, sure strokes. My phone buzzed. Laura's name flashed on the screen. Ignore. Another buzz. Rosie this time. I answered immediately. You need to check your email, she said without preamble. Someone sent us something interesting. I pulled up my laptop, clicking on the new message from an anonymous address. The subject line read, About Isabella and Maria. Holy shit, I breathed, scanning the contents. Are you seeing this? The part about them living together in Florence for 3 years? Or the part about the secret art gallery they ran? My hands shook as I clicked through the attached photos. More images of Grandma and Maria, newspaper clippings about their gallery, letters I couldn't quite read in Italian. Who sent this? I wondered aloud. No idea, but there's more. They're saying Maria's family still owns property in Florence, just blocks from our family villa. I grabbed a fresh sheet of paper, sketching faster now. Rosie, I know exactly what we're going to do. Why do I feel nervous when you say that? Because you know me too well. I stepped back, examining my rough design. I'm going to create a mural for the villa, right in the main hall where Laura's planning her precious family gathering. A mural of what? Our real family history, not the sanitized version we've been fed. I started adding details to the sketch. I'll use architectural elements to tell the story. The Florence Gallery's facade, the villa's original structure, all of it woven together with their story. Laura will lose her mind. Maybe. Or maybe she'll finally understand what family really means. My pencil moved faster. I'm thinking 3 panels, floor to ceiling. The first showing Grandma's early life in Florence, the second depicting her time with Maria, and the third... The third? The third showing our family as it really is. All of us. No masks, no pretense. Rosie was quiet for a moment. You know this is either brilliant or completely insane, right? Sometimes they're the same thing. I added final touches to the sketch. Can you translate these letters? My Italian's not good enough. Already on it. But Peyton, what if this anonymous person is trying to cause trouble? My phone buzzed again. Another email. This time with a single line. Check the basement of the gallery at Via Romano 24. Bring the key. They're trying to help us, I said firmly. They must have known Grandma or Maria, or they're catfishing us into some weird Italian scam. I laughed despite myself. That's oddly specific paranoia. A knock at my studio door made me jump. I opened it to find my mother standing there looking uncomfortable. Mom? She held out a small, ornate key. I thought about what you said. About truth. Her hand trembled slightly. Your grandmother. She was the strongest person I knew, but she was also the loneliest sometimes. I took the key, feeling its weight. Why didn't you ever tell us? Because I thought I was protecting you. All of you. She glanced at my drafting table, eyes widening at the sketches. What are you planning? Something Grandma would have wanted. I showed her the design. A way to tell her story. Our story. Mom traced the lines with her finger. She always said you got her artistic eye. She paused. Laura called me again. She's worried you're going to do something rash. Like tell the truth. Like hurt the family. The family's already hurt, Mom. We just pretend it isn't. I gestured to the anonymous email. Look at this. Someone out there knows our history better than we do. Doesn't that bother you? She read the email, her face paling. Via Romano 24? That was their gallery. Maria's family sold it years ago, but... But what? But your grandmother kept paying the rent. Every year until she died. Mom looked up at me. I never knew why. My phone buzzed one more time. Another anonymous message. Time is running out. The truth won't wait forever. I'm flying out tomorrow, I told Mom, with or without anyone's blessing. She studied my face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Your grandmother would be proud of you, you know. She always said you were the one who saw things clearly. I hugged her, breathing in her familiar perfume. Will you help me? With the mural? She stepped back, wiping her eyes. I'll do better than that. I'll tell you everything I know about Isabella and Maria, starting with why they really opened that gallery. I grabbed my sketchbook, ready to capture every detail. As Mom began to speak, I could almost hear Grandma's voice in my head. The truth about our family would change everything. She was right, and I was about to prove it. The gallery wasn't just a gallery, Mom said, pacing my studio. It was their cover story. I looked up from my sketchbook. Cover story for what? For helping people escape. She sat down heavily on my work stool. In the 1950s, Italy wasn't kind to anyone who was different. Your grandmother and Maria used the gallery's basement to hide people, help them find safe passage to other countries. My pencil stopped moving. They were running an underground railroad? Of sorts. They called it the Rainbow Path. The art sales funded everything. Travel documents, bribes, whatever it took. A sharp knock interrupted us. Laura burst in before I could answer. What are you doing? She demanded, waving her phone. Why are people sending me strange emails about Grandma? Mom stood up quickly. Laura, calm down. Calm down? Someone's spreading lies about our grandmother. She turned to me. This is your doing, isn't it? Some twisted revenge because I hurt your feelings? I met her glare. They're not lies, Laura. Mom was just telling me. Mom? Laura spun around. You're involved in this? Sit down, Mom said firmly. Both of you. It's time you heard the whole story. Laura remained standing. I don't want to hear any stories. I want this stopped. Like you stopped considering me family? I shot back. That's different. Is it? I grabbed the original photograph. Look at this. Really look at it. Laura snatched the photo, then froze. This can't be real. It's real, Mom said softly. That's your grandmother with Maria. They ran an art gallery together in Florence, and they helped people escape persecution. No? Laura shook her head. Grandma was married to Grandpa. She was normal. Normal? I stood up so fast my chair toppled. Define normal, Laura. Because from what Mom's telling us, Grandma was a hero who saved lives while hiding who she really was. She married Grandpa to protect herself and Maria, to keep their work going. You're making this up, Laura whispered, but her voice wavered. The blue box? Mom said suddenly. In the villa's basement. It has everything. Letters, documents, lists of people they helped. Your grandmother wanted you both to know eventually. She just ran out of time. Laura sank into my chair. Why didn't she tell us? Because of people like you, I said, then immediately regretted my tone. Because she was afraid of being judged, of being cut off from her family. Sound familiar? Tears welled in Laura's eyes. That's not fair. None of this is fair. I softened my voice. But it's true. And I'm going to tell her story, Laura. All of it. The mural, Mom explained. Peyton's designing it for the villa. You can't, Laura protested. The family gathering is exactly when it needs to happen. I showed her my sketches. Look at this design. It's not just about Grandma and Maria. It's about all of us. Every secret, every struggle, every triumph. Our real family legacy. Laura studied the drawings, her hands trembling slightly. Dad will never allow it. Wilfred knows more than you think, Mom said quietly. He and your grandmother were close. Why do you think he always defended Peyton? Laura's head snapped up. What? He understood, I realized aloud. He knew about Grandma? Mom nodded. They used to talk for hours, about acceptance, about love, about what family really means. Laura stood abruptly. I need air. Laura, wait. Mom called, but she was already gone. I moved to follow, but Mom caught my arm. Give her time. This is a lot to process. We don't have time, I said, showing her the latest anonymous email. Whoever's helping us says there's more evidence in the gallery basement, but we need to hurry. Something about the building being sold. Mom reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Then you'll need this. Inside was a plane ticket to Florence. Mom, I bought it this afternoon. Your flight leaves tomorrow morning. She handed me another ticket. This one's for Rosie. I already called her mother. What about Laura? Let me handle Laura. Mom touched my cheek. Just promise me something? What? When you find what's in that basement, be gentle with how you share it. The truth can heal, but it can also hurt if wielded like a weapon. I thought about Laura's tears, about Grandma's lifetime of secrets, about the people she and Maria had helped. I promise, I said. But Mom, why did Grandma keep paying the rent on that gallery all these years? Mom smiled sadly. That's one mystery I never solved. But knowing your grandmother, there's a reason. There was always a reason. I picked up the old photograph again, studying the way Grandma and Maria looked at each other. Whatever I found in that basement, whatever secrets were still hidden, one thing was clear. Our family's story was far from over, and I was about to uncover its most important chapter. This can't be the right place, Rosie said, staring at the crumbling facade of Via Romano 24. The once grand gallery entrance was now hidden behind graffiti-covered plywood. Florence buzzed around us, tourists and locals weaving through the narrow streets, oblivious to our mission. The summer heat pressed down like a heavy blanket. The address matches, I said, pulling out Grandma's key. Help me find a way in. We circled the building, finding a side door partially hidden by overgrown ivy. The key slid in perfectly. I can't believe we're breaking and entering in broad daylight, Rosie whispered as we slipped inside. It's not breaking and entering if you have a key. Pretty sure that's not how Italian law works. Our phone flashlights revealed a space frozen in time. Dust-covered frames leaned against walls. Empty pedestals stood like ghosts in the gloom. The basement, I said. spotting a door behind an old desk. That's where the email said to look. The stairs creaked ominously as we descended. The basement was larger than expected, with several rooms branching off a main area. Over here, Rosie called from one corner. There's something carved in the wall. I joined her, running my fingers over the faint markings. It's a rainbow. The rainbow path, Rosie breathed. Your mom was right. A metallic glint caught my eye. Behind a loose brick, something blue peeked out. The box, I said, carefully extracting it. Grandma's blue box. My hands shook as I inserted the key. Inside, dozens of letters spilled out, along with photographs, documents, and a small leather-bound journal. Peyton? Rosie said, reading one of the letters. These aren't just from the 50s. The newest one is dated last year. What? She handed me the letter. The handwriting was shaky but familiar. My dearest Isabella, I read aloud. Another year has passed and still I keep our secret. The gallery remains safe, though I fear its days are numbered. The developers grow more insistent. Perhaps it's time to tell them, your granddaughters. They deserve to know how many lives we saved, how many families we kept together. Especially Peyton. She reminds me so much of you. With eternal love, Maria. Maria's still alive? Rosie gasped. Before I could respond, a voice spoke from the shadows. See, she is. We spun around. An elderly woman stood at the foot of the stairs, leaning on a cane. I've been waiting for you, she said in accented English. Though I must admit, I expected you sooner. You're Maria, I whispered. She nodded, moving closer. And you are Isabella's granddaughter, the architect, the one who sees truth. You sent the emails? My grandson did. I can barely work a telephone. She smiled, and suddenly I could see the woman from the photograph. But the messages were from me. Why now? I asked. Why tell us after all this time? Maria lowered herself onto an old chair. Because this building will be demolished next month. Our sanctuary, our history, it cannot disappear without witness. The people you helped? Rosie said. What happened to them? Many thrived. Started families, built lives. Maria gestured to the walls. Their stories are here in these bricks. Every rainbow mark represents a soul saved. I counted at least 30 marks. And Grandma? Did she... I struggled to find the words. Did she love your grandfather? Yes, in her way. He was a good man who understood love comes in many forms. Maria's eyes grew distant. But Isabella and I, we had a different love, one that changed lives. Including mine, a new voice said. We all turned. Laura stood on the stairs looking shell-shocked. How did you... I started. Mom told me where you'd be. She descended slowly. I followed you from the airport. Maria studied her. Ah, the traditional one. Isabella worried about you most. Laura flinched. She did? She feared you would let rules become more important than love. Maria held out her hand. Come, let me show you something. She led us to a small room off the main basement. Inside, hundreds of photographs covered the walls. Wedding pictures, baby announcements, graduation ceremonies. Every person we saved, Maria explained. Every family that flourished because we dared to love differently. Laura touched one of the photos. These people found happiness by being true to themselves. I finished softly. Just like Grandma wanted for all of us. Tears rolled down Laura's cheeks. I've been so wrong. About everything. Maria took both our hands. Isabella kept this place. Paid the rent all these years because she believed someday her family would need to understand. That love, all love, deserves to be remembered. I looked at my sister, seeing real understanding in her eyes for the first time. Help me tell their story, I said. Help me make the mural something Grandma would be proud of. Laura squeezed my hand. Yes, she whispered. It's time our family knew the truth. A little higher on the left, I called out, directing the workers positioning the first panel of my mural. The villa's main hall echoed with activity as we raced to complete the installation before the family gathering. Laura appeared beside me carrying 2 cups of espresso. The colors are perfect. They match the original gallery's facade exactly. Maria helped with that. I accepted the coffee gratefully. She remembered every detail. 3 weeks had passed since our discovery in the basement. We'd spent every day since then working on the mural, with Maria sharing stories that brought each panel to life. Speaking of Maria, Laura said, have you told her about tomorrow night? Not yet. I'm worried it might be too much for her. She's stronger than you think. Laura smiled. Like someone else I know. The sound of breaking glass made us both jump. One of the workers had dropped a frame, sending shards skittering across the marble floor. Careful! I rushed over. Those photographs are irreplaceable. Sorry, Senora. He apologized, helping me gather the scattered images, copies from Maria's wall of saved families. Everything okay? Wilfred's voice boomed from the doorway. He crossed the hall, taking in the nearly completed mural. This is incredible, Peyton. You knew, didn't you? Laura asked her husband. About Grandma and Maria? He nodded. Isabel told me years ago. Said she saw something in me that reminded her of her Giovanni. Someone who understood love doesn't always follow rules. Why didn't you tell me? Wasn't my story to tell, honey. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders. Besides, you needed to learn this lesson your own way. My phone buzzed. A message from Rosie. Maria's granddaughter just called. We might have a problem. What now? I muttered, stepping away to call her back. Maria's not feeling well, Rosie explained. She's thinking about skipping tomorrow night. No, she can't. The whole point is to bring everyone together, to show the family. I know, but she's nervous. Says it might be too much drama for an old lady. I glanced at the mural, at the panel showing Maria and Grandma in their gallery, young and fearless. Text me her address. I'm going over there. Now? But the installation? Laura can handle it. I hung up and turned to my sister. Can you finish directing the workers? There's something I need to do. She must have seen the determination in my face because she just nodded. Go. I've got this. 30 minutes later, I stood outside Maria's apartment in central Florence, catching my breath after climbing 4 flights of stairs. Before I could knock, the door opened. I wondered how long it would take you to come, Maria said, eyes twinkling. Come in, stubborn one. Her apartment was small but elegant, filled with art and memories. She led me to a balcony overlooking the city. Beautiful, isn't it? She said, pouring 2 glasses of wine. Isabella and I used to sit here and dream of a world where we could love openly. That world exists now, I said, thanks partly to what you both did. Perhaps. She sipped her wine. But some things never change. Family judgment, societal pressure, which is exactly why you need to come tomorrow night. I pulled out my phone, showing her photos of the mural. Look what we've created. Your story, Grandma's story, the stories of everyone you helped. It's all there. And you think this will change minds? I think it already has. Laura's different now. She's trying to understand, to make amends. Maria studied me over her glass. You remind me so much of Isabella at your age. So certain you can fix everything. Maybe I can't fix everything, but I can honor what you built. I took her hand. Please come. Let the family see you're not just some secret from the past. You're part of our story. She was quiet for a long moment, looking out over Florence's rooftops. You know what your grandmother's favorite saying was? What? Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being scared and doing it anyway. She squeezed my hand. Very well. I will come. Really? On one condition. Her eyes sparkled with mischief. I get to bring the wine. That family of yours sounds like they could use a good Tuscan red. I hugged her, breathing in her familiar perfume, the same one I'd noticed in some of Grandma's old scarves. My phone buzzed again. Laura had sent a photo of the completed mural installation with a message. "Mom's crying. The good kind of crying. Get back here." "Come on," I said to Maria. "Let's go see it together. The workers are almost done, and I want you to make sure we got every detail right." As we descended the stairs, Maria hummed an old Italian song. "You know," she said, "Isabella always said the truth would set us free. I think she'd be proud to see it finally happening." "Tomorrow night," I promised. "Everyone will know exactly how proud they should be." But as we stepped into the warm Tuscan evening, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still missing something crucial, some final piece of the puzzle that would make everything clear. The villa's main hall buzzed with conversation as family members gathered from across Italy and America. Aunts, uncles, cousins, some I hadn't seen in years, all mingling beneath the covered mural. "When can we see it?" My young cousin Sophia tugged at my sleeve. "Mom says it's about great-grandma Isabel. Soon," I promised, checking my phone again. No messages from Maria. Laura appeared at my elbow. "She'll be here. Stop worrying." "Easy for you to say. You're not about to blow up decades of family history." "No, we're about to restore it." She handed me a glass of wine. "Mom's keeping the older generation distracted with photo albums. Perfect timing for—" The room fell silent as Maria entered, leaning on her grandson's arm. She wore an elegant blue dress that somehow made her look both fragile and formidable. Aunt Teresa dropped her wine glass. "Madonna Santa. Is that—" "Impossible," Uncle Robert whispered. "She looks just like—" Mom stepped forward, taking Maria's hands. "Welcome home," she said simply. Maria smiled. "It's been too long, little Sadie." The tension broke as dozens of questions erupted at once. I caught Laura's eye and nodded. She clinked her glass for attention. "Everyone," she called out, "if you'll gather round, my sister has something to share." I moved to the center of the room, heart pounding. Many of you knew our grandmother Isabel as a traditional Italian wife and mother, but there was so much more to her story. Our family's story. I gestured to the covered mural. "Tonight, we honor the truth." At my signal, Rosie and Wilfred pulled the sheets away. Gasps echoed through the hall as the 3 panels were revealed. The first showed young Isabella and Maria in their gallery, surrounded by hidden doorways and rainbow symbols. The second depicted the families they'd saved, their faces emerging from darkness into light. The third showed our family as it truly was. Every generation, every love story, every triumph and struggle. "Dio mio," Aunt Teresa breathed. "The gallery. I remember Papa talking about it." "Your father was one of our helpers," Maria said, moving closer to the mural. "He kept our secret, helped us forge documents." Uncle Robert stepped forward. "But you and Isabel, were you in love?" Maria's voice was clear and strong. "Yes, and your brother Giovanni loved us both enough to help us continue our work. The people we helped," I added, "were like us. Different. Afraid. Looking for acceptance." I touched the second panel. "Every face here represents a family that flourished because 2 women were brave enough to create a safe haven." "But why keep it secret so long?" someone asked. "Because some truths need time to be heard," Laura said, surprising me. "Sometimes we're not ready to see what's right in front of us." She looked at me. "Sometimes we hurt the people we love because we're afraid of what's different." Silence fell as everyone absorbed the images, the stories, the truth finally unveiled. Then Sophia spoke up. "Is that why you changed your will, Aunt Laura?" All eyes turned to my sister. She flushed but stood straighter. "Yes, I was wrong to judge what makes a family. Grandma Isabel and Maria showed us that love, all love, creates family." Maria moved to stand beside me, touching the mural gently. "Isabella wanted you all to know eventually, but she worried it would tear the family apart. Instead," Mom said, "it's bringing us together." Suddenly, Maria's grandson rushed forward. "Nonna, your medicine." Maria wavered, and I caught her arm. Are you okay? She smiled weakly. Just tired, dear, but there's one more thing. She pulled an envelope from her purse. Isabella left this with me. Said to open it when the truth finally came out. My hands trembled as I took it. Inside was a deed and a letter. The gallery, I read aloud. She left the gallery to all of us? Read the letter, Maria urged. My dear family, I began. If you're reading this, it means you finally know our story. The gallery was never just a business. It was a sanctuary. Now it's yours. Make it a place where truth can live in the light, where love in all its forms can flourish. The rainbow path never truly ended. It just changed direction. With eternal love, Isabella. Tears flowed freely now, not just mine, but across generations of our family. Even Uncle Robert, who'd never cried in his life, wiped his eyes. So, Laura said, her voice thick with emotion, who's ready to save a historic building from developers? Laughter mixed with tears as family members began sharing ideas, memories, hopes for the future. Maria squeezed my hand. You did it, Kara. You brought the truth into the light. We did it, I corrected, watching my family come together in a way I'd never seen before. All of us. But as I looked at Maria's tired smile, I realized this wasn't quite the end. There was still one more truth waiting to be told. We need to talk, I said to Laura as the family celebration wound down. The villa's garden was quiet except for crickets and distant laughter from inside. About Maria? She settled onto a stone bench. I noticed too. She's not well, is she? I shook my head. Her grandson told me it's heart failure. She's been holding on for this, to see the truth come out, like Grandma did. Laura's voice cracked. That's why she told you about the blue box when she did. Exactly. And now, I pulled out my phone, showing Laura the gallery blueprints I'd been working on. I have an idea, but I need your help. She studied the plans. A community center? More than that. Look at the design. It honors the original gallery's architecture, but adds modern elements. Meeting spaces, counseling rooms, art studios. A place where people can still find acceptance, still get help. The rainbow path reimagined, Laura mused. But this would take serious money. That's where you come in. I took a deep breath. You're the financial wizard of the family. Help me make this work? Before she could answer, Mom appeared in the garden doorway. Girls, Maria's asking for you both. We found Maria in the library looking frail but peaceful in an armchair. Family photos spread across her lap. Ah, my architects of truth. She smiled. Sit with me. There's something you should see. She handed me a photograph I hadn't noticed before. It showed Grandma Isabel holding a baby with Maria beside her. That's Mom. Laura gasped. Maria nodded. Isabella and we didn't just save other families. We created our own. Sadie, your mother, was our daughter. What? I stared at Mom, who was crying softly by the doorway. But how? Giovanni agreed to be listed as her father, Maria explained. It was the only way back then, but Isabella and I raised her together in our own way. Why didn't you tell us? Laura asked Mom. I didn't know myself until I was older, Mom said, joining us. And by then, the habit of secrecy was so ingrained. But now, Maria said firmly, no more secrets. No more hiding. That's why I need you both to promise me something. Anything, we said in unison. The gallery, make it live again. Not just as a memorial, but as a beacon. Show people that family is something you build, not something you're bound by. I showed her my designs. Already working on it. Her eyes lit up. Perfect. Isabella would love this. She touched the plans with trembling fingers. And the top floor? Living spaces, Laura said suddenly. For people who need temporary shelter while they figure things out. Like a modern rainbow path. Maria beamed. You see? You two together, this is what we fought for. The freedom to be who you are and still be family. I'll handle the funding, Laura declared, between the family investments and some strategic partnerships. And I'll oversee the renovation, I added. We can preserve the historical elements while making it functional for today's needs. Good girls, Maria whispered, her eyes growing heavy. Isabella was right about you both. Mom stepped forward. You should rest, Maria. We can continue tomorrow. As we helped her to her room, Maria grabbed my hand. Remember what Isabella always said about truth? That it would set us free? No, she smiled. That it was like architecture. You need both strong foundations and room to grow? Later that night, Laura found me in the hall, staring at the mural. I've been thinking, she said. The gallery project. It needs a director, someone who understands both the history and the vision. You offering? Actually, I was thinking of Rosie. She's perfect for it, and… She hesitated. I'm making some changes of my own. Oh? Wilfred and I are moving to Florence. The family business could use a European branch, and… She touched the mural. I want to be part of this. Really part of it. I hugged her tight, remembering all the years of judgment and distance between us. Welcome home, sis. Also. She pulled back, grinning. You might want to check your email. I had my lawyer draw up new papers this morning. I checked my phone. There it was. Laura's updated will with a simple addition. To my sister Peyton, who taught me that family is built on love, not convention. Laura, don't cry, she warned, even as she wiped her own eyes. We have work to do. A legacy to build. Looking at the mural, at Grandma and Maria's love story, at the lives they saved, at our family's true history, I felt something settle into place. The revenge I'd sought had transformed into something better. Redemption, restoration, rebirth. You know what this means? I said to Laura. We're going to need a bigger mural. She laughed. Good thing I know an architect who specializes in telling the truth through art. Above us, Grandma Isabel and Maria smiled from the mural, their love finally free to light the way forward.
The first thing I noticed when I opened my condo door wasn't the acrid smell of burnt hair and cheap incense. It wasn't even the forest of ring lights cluttering my usually pristine living room. No, it was the sound of my sister's voice, high and breathy, addressing her camera, and that's how I manifested this amazing luxury apartment in downtown Seattle. My name is Emerson, and that manifested apartment, I bought it with 6 years of 60-hour work weeks and carefully managed investments. Bailey? I called out, wheeling my suitcase through a maze of tripods and discarded clothing. What are you doing here? Emmy! Oh my God! Bailey whirled around, phone still recording. You're back early. This is perfect. Say hi to my followers. I stared at the phone, then at the disaster surrounding me. My cream sectional was stained with what looked like self-tanner. Takeout containers littered every surface. And was that a crack in my vintage coffee table? Turn off the camera, I said quietly. But this is gold content. The surprise reunion. Now? Bailey rolled her eyes, but lowered the phone. You're supposed to be gone another 2 weeks, Mom said. Mom said what? I moved closer, noting more damage. Wine splashes on the wall, scratches on my hardwood floors. Why are you filming content in my home? Don't be dramatic. Mom and Dad said it was fine. We needed a better backdrop for my lifestyle series, and your place was just sitting empty. The front door opened again. Bailey, honey, I brought those green smoothies you wanted for your… My mother, Victoria, stopped short, designer shopping bags dangling from her arms. Emerson, what are you doing back? What am I doing back? In my own home? My voice came out steadier than I felt. The better question is what's been happening here. Now, darling, Mom set down the bags, already shifting into damage control mode. Bailey's influence career is really taking off. We didn't want to bother you during your writing break, but she needed a proper setting for her content. My sabbatical, I corrected. The one I spent 3 years arranging. The one you all knew about. Which you can take anywhere, Bailey chimed in. I mean, all you need is a laptop, right? Meanwhile, I have sponsors to consider, partnerships to maintain. Get out! They both stared at me. Excuse me? Mom's voice went sharp. Get out, both of you, now. Emerson Jane Parker, you are being completely unreasonable. Mom started, but I held up my hand. My name is on the deed. My money paid for everything you've been destroying. You had no right. Family has every right, Mom snapped. Your sister is building something important. You've always been so selfish, so unwilling to support. Support? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. Like when I supported Dad's failed restaurant, or Bailey's fashion line that never launched, or your country club membership when the market crashed? That's different, Bailey pouted. This is my career. I'm actually successful. I walked to my bedroom, ignoring their protests. The door was locked. Small mercy, but when I opened it, the sight made my stomach turn. Makeup products covered every surface. My writing desk had been pushed aside to make room for a backdrop setup. The walls were dotted with command strip residue. We need to discuss this like adults, Mom called through the door. Bailey has commitments, contracts. You can't just. I opened my hidden desk safe, removed the flash drive I'd stored there months ago, right after the first time Mom had borrowed my spare key without asking. Then I pulled out my phone and dialed. Angela, this is Emerson Parker in 1402. I need to report unauthorized occupancy and property damage. Yes, I'll hold. Emmy, Bailey pounded on the door. You're being crazy. Think about my followers. I thought about the security cameras I'd installed last year, disguised as decorative pieces, the footage they'd been quietly collecting, the documents I'd been saving just in case. My family had always seen me as the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who would cave in and clean up their messes. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Yes, Angela, I said into the phone, my voice clear and calm. I'd like to file a formal complaint, and I need the locks changed. Today? Behind me, Bailey was still filming through my bedroom window, probably spinning this into content for her followers. Mom was on her own phone, no doubt calling Dad to intervene. Let them. I touched the flash drive in my pocket, feeling its weight like a promise. They wanted a show. I'd give them one they'd never forget. It's just temporary. Dad said, spreading his hands across my dining table, the one I'd found at an estate sale and refinished myself, until Bailey can secure a more permanent content creation space. I sat across from my family, hands wrapped around a coffee mug, watching steam rise between us. The new locks had bought me 12 hours of peace before they'd descended en masse for what Mom called a family meeting. 3 months, Mom added. Maybe 4, tops. We've already looked at some lovely studio apartments for you. Lovely studio apartments, I repeated, to replace my home. Think of it as an investment in your sister's future, Mom pressed. Bailey's latest sponsorship deal is worth more than you make in a month, Bailey cut in, not looking up from her phone. I need this space, Emmy. My followers expect a certain aesthetic. Your followers. I took a slow sip of coffee. The ones you told my condo was your manifestation journey success? Bailey's head snapped up. You watched my stories? Along with the building management and legal team, yes. Now, Dad intervened. There's no need to make threats. We're family. We can work this out. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. We've put together 3 months' rent for a place in Belltown. No. Emmy, this isn't a negotiation. I set down my mug. You all need to leave. Today. You ungrateful little, Mom started, but Bailey's boyfriend Hugo chose that moment to burst through my front door. Babe, you won't believe who just agreed to collab. He froze, taking in the tension. Oh, family meeting? Hugo? Bailey brightened. Perfect timing. Tell Emmy about our upcoming projects. She needs to understand. Actually, I cut in. Hugo needs to leave. He's not on my lease, and the building has strict policies about unauthorized residents. Policies you never cared about before, Mom snapped, before you didn't destroy my property and lie to sponsors using my name. The room went very quiet. What are you talking about? Dad asked slowly. I pulled out my laptop, opened a folder. Contracts, sponsorship agreements, location releases, all with my forged signature. Bailey's face went pale. Those are private business documents that use my name and address fraudulently. Yes, they are. I turned the screen. Want to explain this one? The one where you claimed to own my condo outright to secure that luxury skincare deal? I had to. Bailey burst out. They wouldn't partner with someone who just rented, and you're so weird about your privacy. I knew you wouldn't agree. So you committed fraud. It's not fraud, it's creative marketing. Hugo shifted nervously. Babe, maybe we should. Shut up, Bailey and Mom snapped in unison. Dad rubbed his temples. How much? Excuse me? To make this go away, to give Bailey time to transition her business properly. Name your price. I laughed. The sound made them all flinch. You think you can buy me out of my own home? Again? We're trying to help you. Mom slammed her hand down. You waste your life in that corporate job, dreaming about writing some book that will never happen. Bailey is actually building something. Building something? I stood up. Let's see what she's built. I walked to my living room, pointing. Broken vintage table? 5,000 to replace. Wine-stained walls? 2,000 to repair and repaint. Scratched floors? 8,000 minimum. We'll fix it, Dad promised quickly. Like you fixed my car when Bailey borrowed it for her road trip content? Or my credit score when Mom took out those cards in my name for her investment opportunity? More silence. Get out, I said again. All of you. You have 2 hours to remove your things before building security arrives. You wouldn't dare, Mom whispered. My phone buzzed. I checked the message, smiled. That's Angela from the condo board. Apparently there's quite a crowd gathering in the lobby. Something about a live-streamed party Hugo hosted last night. Hugo paled. That was private. The internet is never private. I turned the phone, showing them the viral clips, especially not when you tag the location and violate multiple building codes on camera. Emmy, please. Bailey's voice cracked. My brand. Should have thought about that before making my home your brand. I walked to the door, held it open. 2 hours. Then I start uploading everything. They filed out, Mom hissing threats, Dad pleading, Bailey crying. Hugo practically ran. When the door closed, I leaned against it, hands shaking. My phone buzzed again, a text from my coworker, Lucas. You okay? Need backup? I looked at my ruined living room, thought of the security footage waiting on my flash drive, remembered every time I'd swallowed my anger and cleaned up their messes. No, I typed back, but they're about to need it. The security footage played on my laptop like a greatest hits compilation of entitlement, 3 months of chaos condensed into neat little digital packages. Wait, pause it there, Lucas said, leaning over my shoulder in the office break room. Is that kid even legal drinking age? I froze the frame. Hugo's latest party, shot from my hidden camera in the vintage lamp. The timestamp read 2 a.m., and the kid accepting a shot looked about 16. Probably not, I sighed. And that's not the worst of it. I clicked through more clips, Bailey's friends trying on my clothes, rifling through my desk, using my credit card for Uber Eats, Mom giving tours to potential investors, claiming the property as a family asset. Your sister's really been broadcasting from your place this whole time? Broadcasting, partying, destroying. I rubbed my eyes. The cleaning service sent photos. They're refusing to work until the damage is professionally repaired. My phone buzzed. Angela from the condo board. Emerson, we need to talk. Now. 10 minutes later, I sat in Angela's office watching her flip through a thick folder. 17 noise complaints, 23 unauthorized filming reports, 5 different residents threatening legal action over privacy violations. She looked up. Your sister's activities have become a liability. I had no idea. I know. That's the only reason you're still here. Angela slid a document across her desk. But this needs to stop. Today, I scanned the paper. Commercial activity violations? Your sister's been running a business from your residential unit, against code, against bylaws, against your lease terms. Angela's expression softened slightly. I've held off taking action because you've been a model resident, but after last night's party? What happened last night? She pulled up a social media post on her phone. Hugo, clearly drunk, hanging off my balcony while Bailey filmed. The caption read, living that luxury life. Who needs safety rails anyway? Jesus Christ. Exactly. Angela took back her phone. You have 24 hours to shut down all commercial activities or we'll be forced to begin eviction proceedings. Back at my desk, I called Mom. Straight to voicemail. Bailey? Same thing. Dad picked up on the third ring. Emmy? Now's not a good... Put Mom on the phone. She's busy with Bailey. There's been some issue with her sponsors. The building is threatening eviction, commercial activity violations. They want all filming stopped immediately. A pause. That's unfortunate timing. Bailey just signed a major contract. They're expecting daily content from the apartment. Not my problem. Emmy, be reasonable. This deal could set Bailey up for life. She's already promised them, like she promised them she owned my condo. Another pause. How did you know about? I know everything, Dad. The forged documents, the unauthorized subletting, the liability waivers with my signature. I took a deep breath. Fix it, now, or I go to the sponsors directly. You wouldn't hurt your sister like that. Try me. I hung up, hands shaking. Lucas appeared with coffee. You okay? No. I pulled up my email, started typing. But I will be. What are you doing? Documenting everything. Times, dates, damages. I attached photos, videos, contracts. Building a case. Against your own family? They stopped being family when they decided my home was their content studio. My phone lit up, Bailey calling. I hit ignore. They're not going to stop, Lucas said quietly. You know that, right? I know. I opened another email, this one to a legal firm specializing in social media law. That's why I'm not giving them a choice. A notification popped up. Bailey had posted a new video. Against my better judgment, I clicked. There she was, in my bedroom, crying perfectly mascara-stained tears. I just don't understand how someone could be so cruel to their own sister, she sobbed. After everything I've done to build this community, this safe space. The comments flooded in. Stay strong, Queen. Family should support family. Can't believe your sister would sabotage you like this. I closed the tab, pulled up the folder of forged documents instead. Next to me, Lucas whistled. That's a lot of fraud. That's a lot of evidence, I corrected, attaching everything to the legal email. They want to play dirty? Fine. But they're about to learn I've been taking notes. My finger hovered over the send button. Once I did this, there would be no going back, no family dinners, no holidays, no pretending we could fix this. I thought of my ruined home, my violated trust, my sister's tears, real and fake. I hit send. You're really going to destroy everything I've built because you're jealous? Bailey stood in my living room, waving a cease and desist letter. Is that what this is about? I continued cataloging damages for my insurance claim. You built nothing. You stole my identity, forged my signature, and trashed my home. I elevated your boring apartment into something meaningful. Do you know how many followers want this lifestyle? Your fake lifestyle, I looked up. The one where you pretend to own property you don't? At least I'm doing something with my life. Bailey's voice rose, not hiding behind a desk, dreaming about writing some stupid book. Speaking of hiding, I pulled out a stack of papers. Want to explain these contracts? She froze. Where did you get those? Your office, also known as my guest room. The one where you left confidential documents scattered everywhere. Those are private. They have my name on them, my forged signature, my social security number. I spread them across the coffee table. 7 different brand deals, all secured using my identity and assets. I had to. They wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Partner with someone who lives with their parents? Someone without real estate assets? You don't understand how this industry works. No, but I understand fraud. I tapped the papers. And so do the lawyers I sent these to this morning. The color drained from Bailey's face. You didn't. I did. I'll lose everything. You mean you'll lose my everything, the things you stole. The front door opened. Mom burst in, designer handbags swinging. What's this I hear about lawyers? Emmy's trying to ruin me, Bailey burst into tears. She's threatening my sponsors. I'm reporting fraud, I corrected. There's a difference. Don't be dramatic, Mom snapped. Bailey needed a leg up. That's what family does. We help each other. Help? Like when you helped yourself to my credit cards? Mom waved dismissively. Ancient history. We paid those back. After tanking my credit score, just like Bailey's tanking my reputation with these contracts. Your reputation? Bailey laughed through her tears. I'm the one with 2 million followers. No one even knows who you are. Exactly. I liked it that way. Until you dragged me into your scams. They're not. What's going on? Our cousin Willow appeared in the doorway, looking confused. I could hear you from the elevator. Perfect timing, I said. Want to see what your favorite influencer cousin has been up to? Emmy, don't you dare, Mom started, but I was already handing Willow the contracts. Her eyes widened as she read. Bailey, these signatures, did you really? It's not what it looks like, Bailey protested. It looks like fraud, Willow said quietly. An identity theft. It's business, Mom interrupted. Everyone does it. Everyone commits felonies? I asked. Stop saying that word, Bailey shrieked. I'm an entrepreneur, a creator. A criminal, I corrected, and it ends now. Or what? Mom stepped closer. You'll tear this family apart over some paperwork. You already tore it apart every time you chose Bailey's schemes over my boundaries, every time you treated my home, my money, my identity like community property. Because you're selfish, Bailey shouted. You have all this and you do nothing with it while I'm out here building an empire built on lies. Willow cut in. Emmy, these contracts, the liability alone. I know. I turned to Bailey. You have 24 hours to come clean to your sponsors. Tell them the truth about whose property you've been using, whose name you've been stealing. You can't make me. Actually, I can, and if you don't, I'll do it for you, with evidence. You wouldn't dare, Mom hissed. I pulled out my phone, opened my drafts folder. A detailed email to every sponsor, listed in the contracts, with documentation attached. Try me. Bailey lunged for the phone. I stepped back, watching her stumble. You're ruining everything, she screamed. I hate you. I've always hated you. Bailey, Mom rushed to comfort her. It's okay, sweetheart. We'll fix this. Emmy's just being difficult, like always. Willow moved to stand beside me, still holding the contracts. This is serious, Aunt Victoria, really serious. Stay out of it, Mom snapped. 24 hours, I repeated. Then I start hitting send. Bailey collapsed onto my couch, sobbing. Mom glared at me like I was the villain in her daughter's story. Maybe I was. But as I watched them comfort each other, plot their next move, I felt something shift inside me. Years of being the responsible one, the backup plan, the human credit line, it ended here. My phone buzzed. A text from Lucas. Lawyers want to meet tomorrow. You ready? I looked at my sister, crying designer tears on my ruined couch, at my mother, already strategizing damage control, at Willow, finally seeing the truth. Yes, I typed back. I'm ready. The live stream started at midnight. I watched it unfold on my phone from a hotel room. I'd finally given up trying to sleep in my own home. What's up, beautiful people? Hugo's voice blared through my speakers. We're coming to you live from the sickest penthouse in Seattle. The camera panned across my living room, now transformed into what looked like a nightclub. Dozens of strangers crowded the space, drinks sloshing onto my hardwood floors. Bailey's going through some family drama, Hugo continued, so we're throwing her the ultimate cheer-up party. My phone buzzed, Angela calling. Are you seeing this? She demanded. Unfortunately. Police are already on their way. This is the last straw, Emerson. I switched back to the live stream. Bailey had appeared, wearing one of my dresses. You guys are the only real family I need, she slurred, raising a bottle. Who needs haters when you have 2 million followers? Someone started dancing on my dining table. The antique chandelier swayed dangerously as people threw things at it. My doorbell camera activated. Police officers in the hallway. The live stream exploded with comments. Cops! Run! Content Gold. Elma. Oh! The feed cut out. My phone exploded with notifications. Dad, Mom, Willow, Lucas, Angela. I ignored them all, opened my laptop, and started typing. Dear Lifestyle Luxe Cosmetics, regarding your partnership with Bailey Parker. 20 minutes later, my phone rang again. Dad. What did you do? He demanded. I'm not the one who threw an illegal party. The sponsors are pulling out, all of them. Bailey's in hysterics. Good. Good? This was her career, her future, her fraud scheme, I corrected. And it's over. Your mother and I will never forgive. Like I'll never forgive you for enabling this, for choosing her chaos over my stability, for watching her destroy everything I've worked for? Silence. Emmy, he said finally, voice breaking. She's your sister. Not anymore. I hung up, opened Instagram. Bailey was already doing damage control, streaming tears to her followers. My own sister. She's trying to destroy me because she's jealous of my success. I can't believe someone would betray their own blood like this. The comments flooded in, her army of followers calling for my head. I screenshot everything, added it to my evidence folder, a knock at my hotel door. Willow. It's bad, she said, entering. Really bad. How bad? She held up her phone. Text messages from Mom. This is all Emmy's fault. She's ruining our family. Bailey might hurt herself. Emotional manipulation, I said. Classic Mom. Bailey's threatening to expose family secrets. She says if she's going down, everyone is. Let her try. Emmy. Willow sat down. Some of those secrets, they're pretty dark. I know. I pulled out my flash drive. Why do you think I've been documenting everything for years? Another notification. Angela again. Building management emergency meeting, she announced. Your family's little live stream party, 3 noise violations, 2 property damage reports, and someone fell from the balcony into the pool. My stomach dropped. Are they alive but pressing charges? We're evicting them. All of them. Today. I closed my eyes, opened them, pulled up my email drafts. What are you doing? Willow asked. Ending this? My phone buzzed, Bailey calling. I answered on speaker. You bitch! She screamed. They're making us leave. My followers are watching this humiliation. Should have thought about that before breaking the law. I'll tell everyone about Mom's affair, about Dad's gambling, about your... Go ahead. I cut in. I have proof of everything. Every lie, every scheme, every crime. Want to see who the internet believes? You wouldn't dare expose our parents like that. Try me. She hung up. Seconds later, my phone lit up with a new notification, Bailey going live again. My Truth, read the title. Willow grabbed my arm. Emmy, wait! But I was already typing, fingers flying across my keyboard. Years of receipts, screenshots, videos, documents, everything I'd saved, waiting for this moment. What are you doing? Willow whispered, giving her exactly what she wants. I hit post. A viral moment. My phone started ringing immediately. Mom, Dad, Bailey, lawyers, reporters. I silenced them all. They're going to hate you forever, Willow said quietly. I looked at my laptop screen, where the truth was already spreading, unstoppable now. At my phone, where Bailey's live viewers were dropping by the thousands as my posts circulated. They already did, I replied. At least now they have a reason. Influencer empire implodes, the dark side of social media fame, read the headline. I stared at my phone screen, watching the story spread across every platform. Your post has over 1 million shares, Lucas said, setting coffee on my desk. It's trending nationwide. My evidence dump had gone viral overnight. Screenshots of Bailey's forged contracts, security footage of destruction, text messages exposing years of manipulation, all of it public now. Influencer exposed, family reveals, truth behind luxury lifestyle facade. Breaking, social media, star Bailey faces criminal investigation. Exclusive, the real story behind that viral party video. My phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. Is this Emerson? A reporter asked. We'd love to get your side of... I hung up. It was the 12th call this morning. Your sister's losing followers by the minute, Lucas reported, scrolling through his phone. Sponsors are pulling out publicly. It's brutal. My email pinged. Another message from Mom. How could you do this to your own sister? To your family? Bailey's devastated. She's locked herself in her room. If anything happens to her, it's on your hands. Delete. Emmy! Willow burst into my office. Have you seen Bailey's apology video? Yeah. My sister had posted it an hour ago. Mascara, stained tears, perfectly lit suffering, a carefully scripted confession. I know I made mistakes. She'd sobbed. I got caught up in the pressure to maintain this image, but my sister, to expose our family like this. For clout. She's still lying, Willow said. Even now. My phone buzzed. Angela from the condo board. Your family's been officially evicted, she announced, but there's damage to address. The pool incident alone. Send me the bills, I said. All of them. There's more. Willow cut in when I hung up. Hugo's been arrested. What? She held up her phone, another headline. Influencer's boyfriend faces charges after viral party disaster. The guy who fell from your balcony? He's pressing charges. Apparently, Hugo pushed him during an argument. There's video. My laptop chimed, an email from Lifestyle Lux Cosmetics legal team. Regarding the fraudulent contracts under your name, we're pursuing full legal action against all involved parties. Another notification, then another. Brands, businesses, lawyers, all demanding answers, threatening suits, distancing themselves from Bailey's deception. Your parents are being sued too, Willow said quietly, for their role in the fraud. My phone lit up, Dad calling. I answered on the speaker. We're ruined, he said flatly. The country clubs revoked our membership. Your mother's friends won't speak to her. Bailey's sponsors want their money back. Actions have consequences. She's your sister, and you're my father. Didn't stop you from helping her steal my identity. Silence. We never meant. Save it for the lawyers. I hung up. Opened Instagram one last time. Bailey had posted again. My Truth, Part 2. Playing victim, spinning narratives, trying desperately to salvage her crumbling empire. The comments were merciless. Fraud queen exposed. Can't believe we fell for this fake lifestyle. Her poor sister. Imagine your family doing this to you. They're calling you a hero, Lucas said, reading over my shoulder. The whistleblower who exposed influencer culture's dark side. I didn't want to be a hero. I closed the app. I just wanted my home back. My phone buzzed. Willow again. Mom's on her way to your office, she warned. She's not good. Security won't let her up. Emmy? Willow hesitated. Some of what Bailey's threatening to expose about Dad's gambling debts, Mom's affair, is all documented in that flash drive I posted, complete with dates, receipts, and evidence. I met her eyes. They don't get to play victim now. Miss? My assistant poked her head in. There's a woman downstairs causing a scene. Says she's your mother. I pulled up the security feed on my computer. Mom in the lobby, designer bag swinging as she screamed at the guards. My daughter works here. This is family business. You can't keep me from. I clicked a button. The guards moved in. Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to leave. You can't hide forever, Mom's voice echoed as they escorted her out. We're your family. I turned off the feed. Opened my email. Dozens of messages from people sharing similar stories of family betrayal, of standing up, of breaking free. What now? Lucas asked softly. I started typing a response to the first one. Thank you for sharing your story. You're not alone. Here's how I took my life back. I just want to talk. Bailey's voice crackled through my doorbell camera. 5 minutes, please. I watched her on my phone screen, standing in my hallway. No makeup, no ring light, no phone in hand. She looked smaller somehow. Security's on their way up, Angela messaged me. Want me to have her removed? I hesitated, then opened the door. Bailey stepped inside, taking in the changes. The repairs were almost complete. New floors, fresh paint, furniture restored or replaced. No trace of her content house remained. You've been ignoring my calls, she said. I've been busy. Legal meetings, insurance claims, police statements about Hugo's assault charge. She flinched. He didn't mean to push that kid off my balcony, forge those contracts, destroy my home. I came to apologize. No, I said. You came because you're desperate. Your followers are gone, your sponsors pulled out, and Mom and Dad can't fix it this time. That's not fair. Neither was stealing my identity, or trashing my property, or lying about me online. She sank onto the couch, my new couch, bought to replace the one she'd ruined. I lost everything, she whispered. You lost what was never yours to begin with. Mom and Dad might lose their house. Did you know that? The legal fees, the fraud charges, the civil suits. I know. I got copied on all the paperwork. They're saying I might face criminal charges. You committed criminal acts. Tears started, real ones this time, not the carefully staged kind she'd perfected for her videos. I never meant to get caught? To hurt you? She looked up. You were always the strong one, the responsible one. I thought you'd understand. Help me fix it, like always. Not this time. My phone buzzed, Willow sending updates from the latest family drama. Mom's being blackballed from her social clubs. Dad's firm is suggesting early retirement. They're talking about selling the house. Your latest video, I said to Bailey. The one where you threatened to expose family secrets? Mom's affair? Dad's gambling? I was angry. I thought if you knew I had dirt on them too. I already had it all. Every secret, every scandal, every lie. I pulled up the documents on my phone. I've been keeping receipts for years. Why? Because I knew someday you'd all go too far, and I'd need protection. She stared at me. You were planning this? I was preparing for it. There's a difference. More tears. I really am sorry, Emmy. No, you're sorry you got exposed. There's a difference there, too. My phone lit up. Angela again. Police are here. Someone leaked Bailey's location. There's press in the lobby. Bailey's phone started buzzing. She checked it, went pale. They found me, my ex-followers. They're saying horrible things. Welcome to consequences. Please, she whispered, help me, one last time. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. That what? That you didn't commit fraud? Didn't destroy my home? Didn't lie to millions of people? I'm your sister. You're a stranger who happens to share my DNA. And you're trespassing. I opened my door. 2 police officers stood outside. Miss, one said to Bailey, you need to come with us. There's a situation in the lobby. Bailey stood, shaking. Emmy, please. Goodbye, Bailey. She stopped at the door. Will you ever forgive me? Will you ever actually be sorry? She had no answer. The officers led her away. My phone buzzed one final time, a message from Lucas. You okay? I looked around my restored apartment. My quiet, private space. My sanctuary, reclaimed at the cost of every family tie. No, I typed back, but I will be. Another message popped up, a news alert. Breaking. Disgraced influencer Bailey faces criminal charges. Family empire crumbles. Below it, a flood of comments. Justice served. Finally, someone stood up to toxic family. Team Emmy forever. I closed the app, opened my laptop. The cursor blinked on a blank document. My novel waiting to be written. The story wouldn't be about revenge, I decided. Or family betrayal. Or social media fame. It would be about freedom. About choosing yourself. About the price of peace and the value of truth. I began to type. The moving truck pulled away from my parents' house, carrying the last pieces of their life toward a smaller condo across town. I watched from my car, parked just far enough away to remain unnoticed. You don't have to be here for this, Willow said from the passenger seat. Yes, I do. Mom appeared on the front steps, designer bags replaced with cardboard boxes. Dad followed, looking older than I'd ever seen him. They locked the door one final time. My phone buzzed, a news alert about Bailey's sentencing. Community service, mandatory counseling, restitution payments. Hugo had gotten worse, 18 months for the balcony incident. They're saying she might rebuild her following, Willow said, as a redemption story influencer. Good luck with that. I started the car, but Willow touched my arm. Wait, look. Mom was crying on the front steps, Dad trying to comfort her. Their perfect image, like their perfect family, finally shattered. Still feel satisfied? Willow asked quietly. No, I admitted, but I feel free. My phone lit up. Lucas calling. Turn on your laptop, he said. Now. I pulled out my computer, opened the link he sent. My inbox exploded. Your story touched my heart. Finally, someone said what needed saying. You gave me courage to stand up to my own toxic family. Thousands of messages, all responding to my latest post, the full story of family betrayal, identity theft, and recovery published that morning. It's going viral, Lucas said, in a good way. People are calling it a wake-up call about family exploitation, social media fraud, enabling behavior. That wasn't why I wrote it. No, you wrote it because it was true. I looked back at my parents. They were pulling away now, following the moving truck to their downsized future. Your mother's been calling the office, Lucas added. Says she has proof you exaggerated everything, wants to tell her side. Let her try. I have receipts for every word. My phone buzzed. Angela from the condo board. The renovation company finished early. she said. Your place is ready, and the new security system is state of the art. No chance of unauthorized influencers? Not unless they can hack military grade locks. I smiled, started driving. Not home, not yet. One more stop first. The coffee shop was quiet when I walked in. Bailey sat in the corner, court mandated ankle monitor visible beneath her non designer jeans. You came, she said as I sat down. You said it was important. She pushed a folder across the table. Inside, a cashier's check for partial restitution, signed confessions of every fraud, every lie, every manipulation. It's not enough, she said. It'll never be enough. But it's what I can do right now. Why? Because you were right. About everything. She looked down. I built my whole life on lies, pretending to be you, to have your stability, your success. It was easier than earning it myself. And now? Now I'm starting over. For real this time. No shortcuts, no scams. She met my eyes. No family to destroy. I took the folder, stood up. Emmy? Her voice cracked. Will we ever? No, I said gently. Some things can't be rebuilt. Outside, Willow waited in my car. Home? She asked. I nodded. We drove in silence until I pulled into my building's garage. You know what's funny? Willow said as we rode the elevator. Bailey spent years pretending to have your life. Now she's lost everything, and you're the one going viral. I'm not an influencer. No, you're something better. You're honest. The elevator opened. I walked to my door, my space, my sanctuary, my truth. Inside, everything was pristine. No ring lights, no scattered clothes, no evidence of the chaos that had invaded. Just peace, quiet, freedom. My laptop sat on my desk, cursor blinking on a new document. Not my novel, not yet. First, another story needed telling. I began to type, to everyone who's ever been told that family comes first, no matter the cost. To everyone who's been expected to set themselves on fire to keep others warm. To everyone who's had to choose between peace and loyalty. My phone buzzed, more responses flooding in, more stories, more truth, more healing. I kept typing. Some endings aren't happy, some families can't be fixed, some peace comes at a price, but some prices are worth paying, and some stories need to be told, even if they break your heart in the telling, especially then.
The sound of laughter hits me before I process the words. It starts as a single snicker, Margaret, I think, before rippling through the conference room like a virus. 30 faces stare at me, some trying to hide their smirks behind coffee cups, others openly grinning. My presentation slides still glow on the screen behind me, the culmination of 3 months of work. 3 months I'll never get back. Well, Leandro says, leaning back in his chair at the head of the table. That was, what's the word I'm looking for? He taps his chin, performing thoughtfulness. Ah yes, pathetic. More laughter. The word pathetic echoes in my skull, bouncing around until it drowns out everything else. My hands are trembling, but I force them still against the smooth wood of the conference table. I'm Rosalie Fernandez, youngest executive in the firm's history. I don't tremble. The client specifically asked for innovative. Leandro continues, his voice dripping with false concern. This is derivative at best, amateur at worst. Did you even look at the brief? Of course I looked at the brief. I lived and breathed that brief for weeks. But the words won't come. My throat is dessert dry as I watch my career crumbling in real time. I can explain. I start, but Leandro cuts me off with a wave of his hand. No need, we'll have Eleanor take over the Campbell account. She actually understands our standards. Eleanor shoots me a sympathetic look that doesn't reach her eyes. Meeting dismissed. Rosalie, stay behind. The room empties quickly, the air thick with whispered conversations and backward glances. Margaret pauses at the door, mouth open like she wants to say something, then hurries out. The click of the door closing sounds like a gunshot. Sit, Leandro commands. I remain standing. The numbers support my approach, I say, finding my voice. The market research. He laughs, standing to face me. You really don't get it, do you? This isn't about market research. This is about knowing your place. The fluorescent lights suddenly feel too bright, too harsh. My skin prickles with awareness of how alone we are. My place? The words come out barely above a whisper. You've been pushing too hard, too fast, making waves. Some of the old guard are uncomfortable with your methods. He steps closer, close enough that I can smell his expensive cologne. Consider this a reminder of the natural order of things. The realization hits me like a physical blow. The canceled meetings, the missing emails, the subtle undermining that I'd dismissed as paranoia. It wasn't incompetence, it was sabotage. You set me up. The words taste like acid. I gave you enough rope to hang yourself. His smile doesn't waver. Take the rest of the day off. Clear your head. Come back tomorrow, ready to be a team player. I gather my laptop with mechanical precision, my movements careful and controlled. Inside, something is building. Not just anger, but something colder, more dangerous. Oh, and Rosalie? He calls as I reach the door. Delete that presentation. We wouldn't want it accidentally ending up in the wrong hands. I turn back, meeting his eyes. Of course not. But I already sent copies to my personal email last night, along with every other project file I've worked on for the past year, along with the emails proving Leandro altered my original brief, along with the recording of him telling Margaret to accidentally delete my backup files. I've spent my whole career being underestimated, being told to wait my turn, pay my dues, know my place. Today, Leandro thought he was teaching me a lesson about power. Instead, he taught me something far more valuable. Sometimes, the only way to win a rigged game is to burn the whole thing down. I walk out of the office into the bright afternoon sun, my heels clicking against the pavement in perfect rhythm. My phone buzzes, a text from Lincoln, my old colleague, who left to start his own consulting firm last year. Heard about the meeting. Call me. Think I might have an interesting proposition for you. A smile spreads across my face as I slide into my car. Leandro has no idea what he just started, but he's about to find out exactly what happens when you back the wrong person into a corner. I open my laptop and start typing. My apartment feels different in the dark, quieter, more honest. I've been sitting here for hours, watching the city lights flicker through my windows while my mind races through the events of the day. My laptop screen glows with dozens of open tabs, email threads, project files, meeting notes, the digital breadcrumbs of my systematic humiliation. The wine in my glass has gone warm, barely touched. I should feel destroyed. Instead, I feel something crystallizing inside me, sharp-edged and dangerous. My phone buzzes again. Lincoln, for the third time. I finally answer. You're not answering your door, he says, instead of hello. Because I'm not in the mood for company. Too bad. I brought Thai food and information. Open up. I sigh, padding to the door. Lincoln stands there with 2 bags of takeout and that infuriating know-it-all smile he always wore at the firm. You look terrible, he says, pushing past me. Charming as ever. But I can't help smiling as he starts unpacking containers onto my coffee table. The familiar smell of pad thai fills the air, grounding me. So, he says, settling onto my couch, want to hear something interesting about our friend Leandro? My hand freezes halfway to the food. What kind of interesting? The kind that explains why he's suddenly so desperate to push you out. Lincoln pulls out his phone, scrolling through emails. Remember that Campbell campaign he gave to Eleanor today? Hard to forget. Well, turns out, Campbell specifically requested you, by name. They were impressed with your work on the Jensen account last year. The pad thai turns to ash in my mouth. What? Leandro told them you were too inexperienced to handle their budget, that you'd requested to step back from major accounts to focus on smaller clients. The chopsticks snap in my grip. He what? Oh, it gets better. Lincoln's eyes gleam. Margaret's been helping him sabotage you for months, changing meeting times, losing files. She's gunning for your position. The betrayal hits like a physical blow. Margaret, who welcomed me my first day, who shared lunch breaks and client horror stories, who knew about my mother's cancer scare last year and covered my meetings without question. How do you know all this? I still have friends at the firm. And unlike Leandro, I actually pay attention to the IT guys. They see everything. My mind is already racing ahead, connecting dots. The Campbell account is worth millions. If Eleanor screws it up, the firm could lose their biggest client. Lincoln nods. And guess who Leandro will blame? Not himself, never himself. I stand, pacing the length of my living room. He'll need a scapegoat, someone who worked on the account before Eleanor, someone who's been difficult lately, making waves. Lincoln watches me carefully, someone who might have copies of all the original work files. I stop pacing. How did you know about the files? Because it's what I would have done, what I did do before I left. He sets down his food. Listen, Rosalie, I didn't come here just to share gossip. I came to offer you a job. What? My consulting firm is growing. We just landed 3 major contracts. I need someone with your skills, your drive, someone who isn't afraid to take risks. The offer hangs in the air between us. It's tempting, so tempting. A clean escape, a fresh start. But something else is taking shape in my mind. Something darker, more satisfying. I appreciate the offer, I say slowly, but I think I need to stay exactly where I am. For now. Lincoln studies me for a long moment. You're planning something stupid, aren't you? Not stupid. Strategic. I open my laptop, pulling up the files I'd saved. Leandro thinks he's teaching me about power? Fine. Let's see how he handles someone who actually knows how to use it. Rosalie. Lincoln's voice carries a warning. I know what I'm doing. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're choosing revenge over opportunity. Maybe I'm choosing both. I turn the laptop to show him the email I've just opened. The one from Campbell's CEO, dated 3 months ago, specifically requesting me for the campaign. Sometimes the best revenge is making your enemies destroy themselves. Lincoln reads the email, then looks up at me. Holy shit. I think it's time to schedule a meeting with Campbell. The kind Leandro doesn't know about. I feel that cold clarity settling over me again. Want to help? He grins, reaching for his phone. I thought you'd never ask. The city lights seem brighter now, more purposeful. Tomorrow, Margaret will discover her access to the project's servers has been mysteriously revoked. Eleanor will find her preliminary designs for Campbell mysteriously leaked to their biggest competitor. And Leandro's about to learn that some lessons cut both ways. The chaos starts at exactly 9:17 a.m. I time it perfectly, right after the morning staff meeting, when everyone's settling into their routines. My phone erupts first, followed by my email. The Campbell team, discovering their campaign materials, have somehow landed in their competitor's lap. I watch through my office window as Leandro sprints past, his usually perfect hair disheveled. 3 minutes later, Eleanor follows, mascara already smearing from tears. I take a slow sip of coffee, savoring the moment. Rosalie. Margaret bursts into my office without knocking. Did you hear? The Campbell designs. Leaked? I keep my voice carefully neutral. How unfortunate. She sinks into the chair across from me, face pale. Eleanor's devastated. She worked all weekend on those designs. All weekend? I raise an eyebrow. That's impressive, considering the brief was only assigned to her yesterday. Margaret's expression flickers. Got you. Unless, I continue, she had access to those files before the official handover, which would be strange, wouldn't it? Almost as strange as my backup files disappearing last week. Rosalie, she stops as my computer pings. What was that? Oh, just an automatic notification. Apparently, there's been a security breach in the project servers. It's locking down access until they can investigate. I smile. You might want to check your login. She grabs her phone, fingers flying across the screen. I watch the color drain from her face as she realizes she's been locked out of everything. Email, servers, even the company intranet. What did you do? Her whisper carries equal parts fear, and awe. Me? Nothing. But it seems someone's been accessing files they shouldn't, moving them, deleting them. The system logs everything, Margaret. Every login, every download, every deleted file. The silence stretches between us, heavy with unspoken accusations. Finally, she looks up, eyes wet. "You don't understand," Leandro said. "I understand perfectly." My voice stays steady, despite the anger burning in my chest. "You chose your side. Now you get to live with it." A commotion erupts in the hallway. Raised voices, the sound of running feet. Margaret turns toward the noise, but I'm already standing. "You should go," I tell her. "I'm sure Leandro needs all hands on deck right now." She hesitates at the door. "We used to be friends. We used to be a lot of things." After she leaves, I allow myself one moment of weakness, one moment to feel the hurt, the betrayal, the weight of burning bridges. Then I straighten my spine and check my phone. A text from Lincoln, Campbell's CEO, requesting emergency meeting. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. You ready? Before I can reply, Freya calls, my mentor from business school, the only person besides Lincoln who knows the full scope of my plan. "It's starting," I tell her when I answer. "Are you sure about this?" Her voice carries that familiar mix of concern and steel. "Once you take this meeting, there's no going back. They crossed that line, not me. This isn't just about revenge anymore, is it?" I watch through my window as Leandro paces the conference room, gesturing wildly at Eleanor and Margaret. "No, it's about justice, about making sure they never do this to anyone else. Just remember what we talked about. Don't let anger make your decisions." I won't. But even as I say it, I feel that cold satisfaction spreading through my chest as Leandro slams his fist on the conference table. I'm thinking very clearly. After we hang up, I open my email. The message I've been crafting for days sits in my drafts folder. A detailed timeline of the Campbell account, complete with original briefs, client communications, and server logs showing exactly who accessed what files and when. One click would send it to the board of directors. Not yet, though. First, I need tomorrow's meeting. Need to see Leandro's face when he realizes Campbell isn't just keeping their account with us. They're insisting I run it. Need to watch him try to explain why he lied about their request for me in the first place. My phone buzzes with another text. This one from an unknown number. "Heard what's happening. We should talk. I have information you need. E. Eleanor." Interesting. I save the number, but don't respond. Let her sweat. The office has gone quiet now, the initial panic settling into a tense hush. Through the glass walls, I see people huddled at their desks, whispering, watching. They know something bigger is coming. They just don't know what. I close my laptop and gather my things. Tomorrow will be a long day, and I need to be ready. As I pass the conference room, Leandro looks up, our eyes meeting briefly. I give him my brightest smile. Let him think he still has control. By this time tomorrow, he won't even have his job. The cafe Lincoln chose sits 2 blocks from Campbell's headquarters, close enough to be convenient, but far enough that we won't run into anyone from the meeting. My hands shake slightly as I add sugar to my coffee, the adrenaline from the morning finally wearing off. "You're sure about those numbers?" Lincoln asks, sliding into the seat across from me. Triple-check them myself. I pull out my tablet, showing him the presentation I'd just delivered. Campbell's market research perfectly aligned with my original proposal. The one Leandro claimed was amateur. And his face, when the CEO mentioned specifically requesting you. I allow myself a small smile, like he'd swallowed glass. Wish I could have seen it. Lincoln leans back, studying me. "But something's bothering you." Sometimes I hate how well he knows me. Eleanor texted again this morning. Says she has proof Leandro's been running this same play with other female executives. Systematic sabotage, going back years. "And you don't trust her?" "Of course not, but..." I tap my fingers against the warm ceramic mug. What if she's telling the truth? What if this is bigger than just me? Before Lincoln can respond, my phone buzzes. "Margaret." "Speaking of people you don't trust," Lincoln mutters as I answer. Can we meet? Margaret's voice sounds strained. Please, it's important. I check my watch. I have 15 minutes. I'm already outside the cafe. Of course she is. I spot her through the window, pacing nervously on the sidewalk. When she enters, her designer suit looks oddly rumpled, like she's been wearing it too long. Mind if I join? Lincoln asks as she approaches. The question isn't directed at me. Margaret hesitates, then nods. Smart choice. She sits, hands clasped tightly around her purse. Eleanor's lying, she says, without preamble. About the proof she claims to have, it's fake. She created it this morning, after. She swallows hard. After Leandro promised her my job. The pieces click into place. He's cutting you loose. He said I was a liability, that I'd been compromised. Her laugh holds no humor. Guess he's not wrong. Why are you telling me this? Because Eleanor's desperate. She knows the Campbell account is gone, knows you've got evidence of her involvement. She'll do anything to save herself, including setting you up. Margaret pulls out her phone, hands shaking. Look, the text chain she shows me makes my blood run cold. Eleanor and Leandro, planning to frame me for corporate espionage. Fabricated evidence showing I'd sold company secrets to competitors. Dated timestamps that would make it look like I'd been doing it for months. They're planting it tomorrow, Margaret says, in the system logs you used to prove the sabotage. It'll make everything you've shown the board look like part of your scheme. Lincoln leans forward. Why should we believe you? Because I saved everything. Margaret's voice hardens. Every email, every conversation, every meeting where Leandro outlined exactly how to systematically destroy someone's career. I was his favorite weapon, until I wasn't anymore. My coffee has gone cold, forgotten. What do you want? Protection. When this breaks, I want immunity from the board. And she takes a deep breath. I want to make it right. Not just for you, but for everyone he's done this to. There are others. Lincoln asks quietly. Margaret nods. 3 in the past 2 years. All women, all rising stars, all gone now. I have their names, their stories. The real evidence Eleanor was talking about. I'm the one who has it. The weight of this revelation settles over our table. My personal vendetta suddenly feels small compared to the scope of what we're uncovering. If you're lying, I start. I'm not. I'll give you everything. Files, recordings, witnesses. But we have to move fast. Once they plant that evidence tomorrow, they won't. The cold clarity I've come to know so well returns, sharper than ever. Because we're moving tonight. Lincoln straightens. What are you thinking? I pull out my laptop, fingers flying across the keys. Margaret, forward me everything you have. Lincoln, call your IT contact. We're going to need server access. I look up at Margaret. You understand there's no going back from this. She meets my gaze steadily. I crossed that line a long time ago. At least this time I'm on the right side. My phone buzzes again. Eleanor, still fishing for a response. Let her wait. Let her and Leandro think their plan is still secret, still safe. By morning, they'll learn what real evidence looks like. And they'll learn it in front of the entire board. One more thing, Margaret says, as she stands to leave. Watch out for Freya. She's not who you think she is. The warning hits like ice water down my spine. But before I can ask what she means, Margaret is gone, leaving only her untouched coffee and the weight of another betrayal waiting to be uncovered. The boardroom feels different at night, emptier, more honest. My heels echo against marble as I make my way down the darkened hallway, guided by the glow of my phone. Lincoln's IT contact came through. We have 2 hours before the security system resets. Server rooms this way, Margaret whispers, leading me through the maze of corridors. Her hands shake as she swipes her keycard, but her voice stays steady. Everything's backed up here before going to the cloud. If they're planning to plant evidence, this is where they'll do it. I finish, following her inside. The hum of servers fills the air, along with the artificial chill of industrial cooling systems. How long? 10 minutes to download everything, maybe 15 to. She freezes, grabbing my arm. Did you hear that? Footsteps, coming closer. Hide, I hiss, pulling her behind a server bank. We barely make it before the door opens, spilling fluorescent light into the room. Hurry up, Leandro's voice carries clearly in the enclosed space. We need this done before the morning backup. I'm working as fast as I can, Eleanor. She sounds scared. But if anyone traces this back, they won't. The timestamps will show Rosalie's been selling information for months. By the time she realizes what's happening, her career will be over. My fingers tighten around my phone, already recording. Beside me, Margaret's breathing has gone shallow. And what about Margaret? Eleanor asks. She knows too much. Margaret's no longer our concern. By tomorrow she'll be as discredited as Rosalie. A pause. Unless you're having second thoughts. No, this feels wrong. Wrong, Leandro laughs. You wanted her position. This is how you get it. How do you think I got where I am? By destroying people's lives? By understanding power. Now finish the upload. I have another meeting. At this hour? With Freya. She's been very helpful in managing this situation. The phone nearly slips from my grip. Margaret squeezes my arm. A warning or comfort, I'm not sure which. Freya, Eleanor sounds as shocked as I feel. Your source was Rosalie's mentor. Where do you think I got the idea to target her in the first place? Freya's been feeding me information for months. Every weakness, every insecurity, every pressure point. His voice drips satisfaction. It's amazing what people tell their mentors. The betrayal hits like a physical blow. Freya, who guided me through business school, who listened to my fears, my hopes, my plans, who knew about my mother's cancer, my father's abandonment, every vulnerable moment I'd trusted her with. I must make some sound, because Eleanor stops typing. What was that? Probably the cleaning crew. Leandro sounds dismissive. Are you done? Almost. There. Uploaded. Good. Let's go. We wait until their footsteps fade before emerging. My legs feel unsteady, but my mind is crystalline clear. Rosalie, Margaret starts. Download everything. I cut her off. Every file, every log, every piece of evidence they just planted. Then call Lincoln. Tell him to meet us at my apartment. What are you going to do? I check my phone. 9:47 p.m. I'm going to follow Leandro, find out what else Freya's been sharing. That's too dangerous. If they catch you, they won't. I'm already moving toward the door, because you're going to create a distraction. How? I turn back, letting her see the cold fury I've been containing. Remember that email about the Campbell account? The one proving Leandro lied to the client. Send it to the board. All of them. Right now. That'll start a firestorm. Exactly. While they're dealing with that, I'll handle Freya. Understanding dawns in her eyes. You're not just gathering evidence anymore, are you? No. I check my lipstick in my phone's reflection. Perfect, professional, war paint. I'm burning everything down, starting with the people who taught me how. Rosalie, wait. She grabs my arm. There's something else you need to know about why Freya targeted you specifically. But before she can continue, both our phones buzz simultaneously. A company-wide email from Eleanor, sent to every employee, every board member, every client contact in the database, regarding systematic discrimination and corruption at executive levels. She broke, Margaret whispers. Eleanor actually broke. I scan the email quickly. Detailed accusations, dates, names. Eleanor's throwing everyone under the bus, including herself. Change of plans, I say, already dialing Lincoln. Tell the IT guy to lock down the servers. No one gets in or out. I start walking, purpose in every step. The game just changed, and I know exactly where Leandro's running to. Behind me, Margaret's voice carries a note of warning. Don't underestimate Freya. She's been playing this game longer than any of us. I smile, sharp and certain. Good. Then she'll appreciate what I'm about to do. Freya's office is exactly as I remember. Tastefully minimalist. with a view of the city that probably costs more than my annual salary. The lights are off, but I can make out her silhouette against the window, waiting. I wondered when you'd figure it out, she says, without turning around. Though I expected it sooner, you're usually quicker than this. Sorry to disappoint. I closed the door behind me. I was busy dealing with the mess you helped create. The mess I helped create? Now she turns, moonlight catching the silver in her hair. Or the opportunity I gave you. That stops me short. What? Oh, Rosalie. Her smile is familiar, the same one she wore when reviewing my business school applications. Did you think it was an accident that Leandro just happened to target the one person I knew could destroy him? The floor seems to shift under my feet. You planned this. I planted the seeds. You did exactly what I knew you would. Fought back, gathered evidence, built an airtight case. She gestures to the chair across from her desk. Sit, you look like you need it. I remain standing. Why? Because the firm needs change. Real change. Not just replacing one corrupt executive with another. She moves to her desk, pulls out a file. I've spent 15 years watching men like Leandro break promising careers. Watching the board ignore complaints, brush off evidence, protect their own. So you used me to stop it. The laugh that escapes me sounds hollow. By having him destroy my career. By giving you the chance to destroy his. Permanently. She opens the file, spreading photos across her desk. These are the others, the women before you, the ones who didn't fight back. I recognize some of the faces, rising stars who suddenly left, their departures marked by whispered rumors and knowing looks. I tried helping them directly, Freya continues, gave them evidence, encouraged them to report it. Know what happened? The board buried it. Every time, her voice hardens. But you're different. You don't just fight back, you annihilate. My phone buzzes. Lincoln, probably wondering why I haven't checked in. I ignore it. Eleanor's email just went public. I tell her, the whole system is about to burn. Good. She doesn't sound surprised. That was the point. You knew she would break? I knew you would push her to it. Just like I knew Margaret would turn on Leandro once he betrayed her. Just like I knew you'd record everything in that server room tonight. Ice spreads through my veins. You were there? No, but I knew Leandro's plan. Knew he'd try to frame you. Knew you'd catch him in the act. She leans forward. I know you, Rosalie. Better than you know yourself. Everything you told him about me. The pieces click into place with sickening clarity. My mother's cancer, my father leaving. You gave him weapons to use against me? I gave him rope to hang himself with. She stands, moving closer. Every vulnerability he exploited, every pressure point he pushed, it all goes in the lawsuit. Shows pattern, intent, malice. The lawsuit. She hands me another file. Thick, legal looking. Already prepared. Just needs your signature as the primary plaintiff. Once it goes public, the board will have no choice but to clean house. All of them, not just Leandro. My hands shake as I open it. Names, dates, evidence spanning years. A comprehensive case against not just Leandro, but the entire system that protected him. You're not just my mentor, are you? I look up at her. You're the one who's been feeding Lincoln information, the IT access, the client contacts. He's a good ally, like you. She touches my arm gently. Everything I did was to help you win. I jerk away from her touch. By manipulating me, using my trauma as a weapon. By showing you your own strength. Her voice stays calm, reasonable. Look what you've accomplished. In 1 week, you've done what I couldn't do in 15 years. My phone buzzes again. Margaret this time. A warning flashes across the screen. Leandro's coming. Get out. Sign it, Freya urges. End this, tonight. The lawsuit sits heavy in my hands. Justice served cold, calculated, perfect, everything I wanted. So why does it feel like another manipulation? Footsteps echo in the hallway. Running. Time to choose, Rosalie. Freya holds out a pen. Are you a victim or a victor? I look at the pen, then at her. The mentor who guided me, the puppet master who used me. The woman, who might be both. Neither, I say, tucking the lawsuit into my bag. I'm something much more dangerous. I'm at the door when she calls after me. What's that? I turn back, letting her see the truth in my smile. I'm the one who gets to choose how this story ends. The footsteps are closer now. Time to move. But first, I have a different file to send to the board, one that shows exactly how deep this manipulation goes. The boardroom erupts into chaos the moment I finish speaking. 15 faces stare at me in varying stages of shock, anger, and disbelief. The evidence I've just presented glows on the screen behind me. Emails, recordings, photographs, years of systematic destruction, all laid bare in pristine digital clarity. Leandro stands first, his carefully maintained composure finally cracking. This is absurd. A desperate attempt by a disgruntled employee to what? I cut him off, my voice steady. To expose how you deliberately sabotaged multiple careers. To reveal how the board ignored complaints? Or to show how Freya orchestrated this whole thing? That last part draws shocked whispers. Freya, sitting at the far end of the table, doesn't flinch. If anything, she looks proud. Everything I did, Leandro starts, was for the good of this firm. To maintain standards. Standards. Eleanor's laugh sounds slightly hysterical. She hasn't stopped shaking since she arrived. Tell them about your standards, Leandro. Tell them what you made me do. Eleanor, he warns. No. She stands, tears streaming down her face. I'm done being afraid of you. The boardroom door opens and Margaret slips in, followed by Lincoln. Right on time. The police have some questions, Lincoln announces, about certain financial irregularities we've uncovered. Leandro's face goes ash white. You can't prove. Actually, Margaret interrupts, setting a thick folder on the table. We can prove everything, including where the money went. The board chairman rises slowly, his expression thunderous. Mr. Mason, I suggest you sit down. This is a witch hunt, Leandro snarls, but I see the fear in his eyes. Rosalie's manipulating you all. Like you manipulated Sarah, I ask quietly. Or Jennifer, or Maria. With each name, I place a photo on the table. Women who came before me, women whose careers he destroyed. You don't understand, he tries again, desperately looking around the room for allies, finding none. The pressure to maintain our reputation. Save it for the police. The chairman's voice could freeze hell. Security is waiting outside. You're making a mistake. Leandro turns to Freya. Tell them what she's really like. Freya stands, straightening her impeccable suit. What Rosalie is, she says carefully, is exactly what I made her to be. A weapon, my greatest success. She smiles at me, maternal and predatory, all at once. Though perhaps I succeeded too well. What does that mean? The chairman demands. It means, I say, clicking to the next slide, that Freya's been playing both sides for years, mentoring promising women, then helping Leandro destroy them, creating victims so she could swoop in with her lawsuit, position herself as a savior. The room goes deadly quiet. Each failure made the next case stronger, I continue. Each destroyed career added weight to her evidence, until she found someone who wouldn't break, someone who'd fight back exactly the way she planned. I meet her eyes across the table. Isn't that right? For the first time, Freya's composure cracks. Everything I did was for yourself. My voice doesn't shake. You didn't want justice, you wanted power. And you don't? She challenges. Look at what you've accomplished. Everything I taught you. Taught me to be like you? I shake my head. That's where you failed. Because I learned something different. I turn to address the board directly. I learned that real power isn't about destroying people. It's about choosing not to, even when you can. Security enters silently, moving toward Leandro. He looks trapped, dangerous. You'll regret this, he hisses. No, I smile, genuine this time. I'll succeed, despite you, not because of you, and that's what will haunt you. As security leads him out, Eleanor breaks down completely. Margaret moves to comfort her, shooting me a questioning look. I nod. Everyone deserves a chance at redemption. The lawsuit, Freya says suddenly. You still need me for that. The evidence has already been turned over to the proper authorities. Lincoln steps forward, along with proof of your involvement. The chairman clears his throat. Ms. Fernandez, the board would like to discuss your future with the firm. Actually, I say, gathering my things, I don't think that's necessary. You're leaving? Eleanor looks panicked. After everything? Not leaving, evolving. I meet Lincoln's eyes, see his proud smile, starting something new, something better. And what about us? Margaret asks quietly. I pause at the door, looking back at the room full of broken systems and wounded people. That's up to you. Change is possible, but it has to be real, not just replacing one power structure with another. Freya stands, one last attempt. Rosalie, think about, I have. I cut her off. Thank you for the lessons, Freya, all of them, even the ones you didn't mean to teach. The morning sun hits my face as I walk out. Lincoln beside me, behind us, the past. Ahead, something new, something honest, something mine. The new office still smells of fresh paint and possibility. Floor-to-ceiling windows flood the space with morning light, illuminating empty desks waiting to be filled. My heels click against hardwood as I walk the perimeter, touching each surface, making it real. Stop obsessing, Lincoln calls from the conference room. The furniture's not going anywhere. I'm not obsessing, I'm appreciating. Same thing. He emerges with a stack of resumes. First interviews start in an hour. You ready? Before I can answer, the elevator chimes. Margaret steps out, looking different in casual clothes, more herself somehow. Sorry I'm early, she says, but there's something you need to see. She hands me her phone. A news alert shows Leandro being led from his home in handcuffs, the headline detailing charges of financial fraud and corporate espionage. Below that, another headline. Prominent business mentor arrested in connection with systematic career sabotage scheme. Freya's not taking any deals, Margaret says. She's threatening to expose every corporate secret she knows. Let her. I hand the phone back. Some things need exposing. That's actually why I'm here. She glances at Lincoln, who nods encouragingly. I've been thinking about your offer. The offer I made 2 weeks ago, after everything imploded, a chance to help build something new. And? I want in, but not as an employee. She straightens her spine. I want to be a partner. I have savings, and with my settlement from the firm. No, I cut her off, watching her face fall. Not with the settlement money. That's yours. Your compensation for what they did to you. I move to my desk, pull out a contract. But I already had the partnership papers drawn up. Was just waiting for you to ask. Her hands shake as she takes the document. You knew I would. I hoped. I smile. We all deserve second chances. Even recovering enablers. Speaking of second chances, Lincoln interrupts, checking his phone. Eleanor's here, early for her interview. My stomach tightens. Eleanor, who broke the story wide open, who chose truth over power at the last moment, who's still learning who she is without Leandro's influence. Send her up. While we wait, Margaret examines the empty office. It's strange. All those years at the firm, fighting for scraps of recognition. Now we're actually building something. Something better, I finish. Something honest. The elevator chimes again. Eleanor steps out, wearing a simple blazer instead of her usual designer suits. She carries herself differently now, less artificial polish, more genuine strength. Before we start, she says, I need to tell you something. She pulls out a familiar-looking file. Freya contacted me. Offered me immunity if I'd testify that you manipulated everything. That you set Leandro up. The air goes still. Lincoln moves closer, protective. What did you say? I ask quietly. I said she taught me what real manipulation looks like. Eleanor's smile is small but genuine, and that I'm done being anyone's weapon but my own. Pride and relief flood through me. That's exactly what I hoped you'd say. I take the file, drop it in the shredder without opening it. Now let's talk about your role here. I thought this was an interview. It is, for our new creative director position. Her eyes widen. But after everything I did, you did terrible things, I acknowledge. And then you chose to do better. That's exactly the kind of person I want helping others navigate this industry. Tears spill down her cheeks, but her voice stays steady. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I grin. Wait until you see the workload. The morning light stretches across the floor as we settle into planning mode. Margaret arranging desks, Lincoln reviewing candidates, Eleanor sketching organizational structures on the whiteboard. All of us damaged, all of us healing, all of us choosing to build rather than destroy. My phone buzzes, a text from the detective handling Leandro's case. Need your statement tomorrow, re. Freya's involvement. I type back, I'll be there. Some stories need to be told. Looking around the sunlit office, at these people who've chosen to rise above their worst moments, I feel something settle in my chest. Not the cold clarity of revenge, but something warmer, something real. All right, I say, drawing their attention. Let's create something they never could, something true. Together, we begin. Not with destruction, but with hope. Not with power, but with purpose. Not with fear, but with freedom. And this time, we write our own stories. The Christmas tree lights blinked mockingly at me as I sat alone at my dining room table, staring at the empty chair where my son should have been. The turkey I'd spent hours preparing had gone cold, and the bottle of wine he'd given me last Christmas remained unopened. My phone lay silent, though I'd checked it 100 times since morning. I'm Zaylee, and this is the story of how I lost my son to wealth, then found a way to bring him back, though not in the way anyone could have expected. He's probably just running late, I muttered to myself, knowing full well it was a lie. Randolph hadn't been running late for the past 8 months. He'd been running away. The sound of my fork scraping against the empty plate echoed through the house. I remembered how, just a year ago, this room had been filled with laughter. Randolph and his best friend Theo sprawled on the couch, arguing about video games while I prepared dinner. Now even Theo couldn't get through to him. My phone buzzed, my heart leaped, but it was just Sergio from work. Merry Christmas, Z. How's dinner with Randolph? I stared at the message, my throat tight. Before I could respond, another text came through. He didn't show, did he? I typed back, no, again. The phone rang immediately. Sergio's warm voice filled my ear. I'm coming over. Nobody should be alone on Christmas. Don't be silly, I said, forcing cheerfulness into my voice. You have your family waiting. I'm fine, really. You're not fine, Z. This isn't right. He's 24, I said, the words bitter in my mouth. He's allowed to make his own choices, even if those choices involve ghosting his mother for some trust fund princess. I winced. Emily Knight, the girlfriend who'd swept into Randolph's life like a hurricane in designer clothes, leaving nothing but destruction in her wake. Since meeting her at that charity gala, my son had transformed from the warm, grounded young man I'd raised into someone I barely recognized. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was him. Hey, Mom. Randolph's voice was distant, artificial. I could hear classical music and tinkling glasses in the background. Sorry about dinner. Emily's family had this thing at the country club, and it's Christmas, Randolph. I cut in, my voice shakier than I intended. We always spend Christmas together. Mom, you need to understand. Things are different now. Emily's family, they're different. Better, actually. They know people, important people. They can help me build connections, create opportunities. Better? The word felt like a slap. Better than what exactly? There was a pause. Then, you know what I mean. Look, I've got to go. Emily's mother is about to give a toast. Randolph, wait. I'll call you later, okay? Maybe we can do lunch sometime next week, if I'm not too busy with the Knight Foundation stuff. The line went dead. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to the silence. Through my window, I could see my neighbors' houses, lit up with Christmas decorations, families moving behind warm windows, together and whole. The doorbell rang, startling me. I opened it to find Theo standing there, snow dusting his shoulders, holding a wrapped package. "Thought I'd drop off his Christmas present," he said, stepping inside. "Though I'm guessing he's not here." I shook my head. "The nights again." Theo's face darkened. "You know, I tried to talk to him at work yesterday. He acted like we'd never been friends, like the last 20 years meant nothing." "He's changed," I whispered. "No," Theo said firmly. "He's lost. There's a difference." He placed the package on the table. "Want to know what I got him? That old Nintendo game we used to play in your basement. Thought it might remind him of who he really is." I touched the wrapped package, remembering the sounds of teenage boys laughing, the smell of microwave popcorn, the feeling of family that had nothing to do with country clubs or foundations. "He said they're better," I admitted, the words burning my throat. "Better than us." Theo's expression softened. "Then he's an idiot, and someday he's going to realize that." "I hope you're right." After Theo left, I stood in my kitchen, looking at the family photos on my refrigerator. Randolph's graduation, his first job, the day we moved him into his apartment. In every picture, he was smiling. Real smiles, not the practiced one he wore now at night family functions. I picked up my phone and deleted the draft message I'd been composing all day. "Merry Christmas, sweetheart. I miss you." Instead, I opened my work email and clicked on a folder marked Knight Foundation, Confidential. There, buried in legal documents and trust agreements, lay a truth that could change everything. A truth about karma, about consequences, and about the real meaning of better. I just had to decide what to do with it. As we reach this moment in our tale, we're curious. Which country or city are you watching from today? Share with us in the comments. Now back to what happened next. 3 days after Christmas, I sat in my office, staring at Milton's last letter to me. The paper had grown worn from repeated handling, but his elegant handwriting remained clear. "My dear Zaylee, when the time comes, you'll know exactly what to do with this trust. You always understood what real wealth means." Still obsessing over that letter? Sergio appeared in my doorway, 2 coffee cups in hand. "Just thinking about Milton," I said, accepting the coffee. "He'd be heartbroken to see what's happening with his family now." Sergio settled into the chair across from my desk. "You mean how his granddaughter is systematically destroying your son's personality?" "Among other things." I pulled up the trust documents on my computer screen. "Did you know Milton never told his family about my role? Even Tabitha doesn't know I'm the executor." "That crafty old man," Sergio chuckled. "Always playing the long game." My phone buzzed with a text from Randolph. "Rain check on lunch. Emily's planning a charity gala. Need to focus on that." Sergio caught my expression. "Another cancellation?" He doesn't even bother making excuses anymore. I turned the screen to show him. "But here's the irony, that charity gala. It's being funded through the trust I manage. Does Emily know that?" "Nobody knows except you and the lawyers." I leaned back, remembering my last conversation with Milton before he passed away. "You're the only one who sees people for who they really are, Zaylee," he'd told me, his voice weak but determined. "Not for their bank accounts or social connections. That's why I'm trusting you with this." The intercom buzzed, interrupting my thoughts. "Ms. Warren, Tabitha Knight is here to see you." I exchanged alarmed looks with Sergio. "Send her in." Tabitha swept into my office like a perfumed hurricane, designer heels clicking against the floor. "Zaylee, darling, I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all," I lied, as Sergio excused himself with a meaningful look. "What brings you here?" "Oh, I was just passing by and thought I'd check in on my future mother-in-law." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Emily tells me Randolph is absolutely thriving at our country club events." I kept my face neutral. "Is he?" "Oh yes, though," she paused dramatically. "He seems a bit reluctant to discuss his background. Emily mentioned something about a public school education. He attended Lincoln High." I said proudly. Graduated top of his class. How quaint. Tabitha's perfectly lined lips twitched. Well, we're working on polishing those rough edges. Emily's quite good at that sort of thing. My hand tightened around Milton's letter. Randolph doesn't need polishing, Tabitha. He needs to focus on his future, she cut in smoothly. Speaking of which, I was wondering if you might have any insight into dear Papa Milton's foundation arrangements. We've been trying to access certain documents, but the lawyers are being terribly difficult. Ah, there it was. I'm afraid I can't help, I said. I only handled some minor consulting work for Milton. Really? Tabitha's eyes narrowed. That's not what the foundation's accountant implied. Perhaps you should speak with the lawyers directly. She stood, smoothing her skirt. Perhaps I should. It's just, well, Emily's quite set on this engagement, but these things can be so delicate. It would be a shame if any complications arose. The threat hung in the air like expensive perfume. After she left, Sergio reappeared. Well, that was subtle as a sledgehammer. I pulled up Emily and Randolph's engagement announcement on my computer, a glossy photo of them beaming at the camera, his smile as artificial as her diamonds. Milton knew, I said quietly. He knew exactly what would happen when he made me executor instead of Tabitha. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I opened the trust documents again, scanning the crucial clause. Full discretionary powers over all distributions, including the right to withhold funds based on moral and ethical considerations. I'm going to do what Milton wanted, I said. Teach them all what real wealth means. My phone buzzed again, a social media notification. Emily had posted a photo of herself and Randolph at some charity lunch, captioned, "With my love planning the biggest gala the Knight Foundation has ever seen." I clicked through to the comments. There was Theo. "Remember when you used to say fancy parties were for pretentious snobs?" Randolph's reply made my heart sink. "People grow up, man. Maybe you should try it." I closed the browser and pulled up my email. With trembling fingers, I began composing a message to the foundation's lawyers. Regarding the upcoming gala funding request, I need to schedule a meeting with Emily Knight to discuss certain conditions. Sergio read over my shoulder. "You sure about this?" I thought about Randolph's empty chair at Christmas, about Tabitha's thinly veiled threats, about Milton's faith in me. Yes, it's time they learned that some things can't be bought, and some people can't be polished away. And Randolph? I touched the screen where my son's artificial smile gleamed. Sometimes love means letting someone hit rock bottom so they can remember how to climb. The Knight family's winter charity gala buzzed with artificial warmth as I slipped in through a side entrance. Nobody recognized me. I'd traded my usual business attire for a designer dress that cost 3 months' salary. Sometimes blending in means standing out. "Champagne, madam?" A server offered me a crystal flute. "Thank you." I positioned myself near a marble column, scanning the crowd until I spotted him. Randolph stood with a cluster of young socialites, his hand resting possessively on Emily's waist. He was laughing at something, but I knew that laugh. It was his networking laugh, not his real one. Quite the transformation, isn't it? I turned to find Theo beside me, looking uncomfortable in a rented tuxedo. "I didn't expect to see you here," I said. "Got an invitation. Probably Emily's idea of a joke." He nodded toward Randolph. "Watch this." Theo straightened his bow tie and walked directly toward the group. I held my breath. "Randy, man, remember that time we crashed your mom's car trying to get McDonald's at 2 a.m.? Your mom was so cool about it, just made us work it off doing yard work." The silence was immediate and crushing. Emily's perfectly plucked eyebrows arched toward her hairline. "I'm sorry," Randolph said, his voice clipped. "Do we know each other?" Theo's face fell. "Seriously? 20 years of friendship, and you're pulling this? I think you must be confused." Emily cut in smoothly. "Randolph doesn't associate with that sort of thing anymore." "That sort of thing?" Theo's voice rose slightly. "You mean actual friendship, real connections, people who actually give a damn about you. Security, Emily called out, waving delicately. We seem to have an uninvited guest. I watched as two burly men in suits approached. Theo backed away, hands raised. Don't bother, he said. I'm leaving. But Randy, when you remember who you are, if you ever do, don't bother calling. Some things you can't fix with Daddy's money. As Theo stormed out, I saw something flicker across Randolph's face. Pain, maybe recognition, but Emily's hand on his arm seemed to erase it instantly. Darling, she cooed, let's announce the Foundation's new initiative. I moved closer to the stage as Emily tapped her glass for attention. Ladies and gentlemen, the Knight Foundation is proud to announce our biggest project yet, a complete renovation of the city's arts district. Applause rippled through the crowd. I checked my phone, where an email from the Foundation's lawyers waited. Funding approval required for project initiation. My fiancé and I, Emily continued, pulling Randolph forward, will be personally overseeing this transformation. We're leaving behind the, shall we say, less refined elements and creating something truly worthy of the Knight name. Less refined elements? Someone near me muttered. That's where all the local artists work. And of course, Emily beamed. None of this would be possible without my dear grandfather's vision. Though he's no longer with us, his legacy lives on through the foundation. I thought of Milton, of our long conversations about supporting genuine talent, regardless of social status, of how he'd specifically written protections for local artists into the trust. Randolph took the microphone. I'm honored to be part of this family now. Looking back at my humble beginnings, I never imagined I'd find myself among such elevated company. My heart cracked. The boy who used to give his lunch money to struggling classmates was now proudly announcing plans to gentrify their neighborhoods. After the speeches, I overheard Randolph talking to a developer. The neighborhood's a bit rough now, but once we price out the current residents, we can attract a better class of people. Better class? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Randolph turned, then looked straight through me, not recognizing his own mother in my expensive disguise. Yes, he said dismissively. People who understand the value of progress. And what about the value of community? I asked. Of history? Emily appeared, wrapping herself around his arm. Darling, don't waste time explaining our vision to someone who clearly doesn't understand sophistication. They walked away, leaving me standing there with my untouched champagne. My phone buzzed, an email from Emily's assistant, requesting urgent approval for the first phase of funding. I opened my purse, touching the envelope inside that contained Milton's private letters about the Foundation's true purpose, about how he'd watched his family become exactly what he'd fought against his whole life. Time to understand what real progress means, I whispered, composing a reply. Please have Ms. Knight meet with me personally to discuss the approval process. There are certain conditions that require immediate attention. Across the room, Randolph laughed his fake laugh again, surrounded by his new, better class of people. But I saw how his eyes kept drifting to the door where Theo had exited, and I knew that somewhere inside him, my son was screaming to get out. The engagement party invitation arrived in a cream-colored envelope, gold lettering catching the morning light. I traced my fingers over the embossed words, remembering how Randolph used to make fun of such pretension. My phone rang. Sergio. Did you get one too? He asked. Just opened it. Celebrating the union of two distinguished families, I read aloud, my voice bitter, as if his family isn't good enough anymore. Are you going? Before I could answer, my office door burst open. Emily swept in, perfectly coiffed and radiating irritation. Zaylee, this is becoming ridiculous, she announced, waving a stack of papers. We've submitted all the required documentation for the Arts District project 3 times now. The Foundation's lawyers keep referring us back to you. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. Please, sit down. I'd rather stand. This won't take long. Actually, it will. I pulled out Milton's folder. Your grandfather had very specific requirements for Foundation projects. Requirements we've met. she snapped. The budget projections. I'm not talking about money. I opened the folder. Milton insisted that any neighborhood development must preserve existing cultural spaces and provide affordable housing for displaced residents. Emily's perfect posture faltered slightly. That's not practical. It's non-negotiable. Do you know who I am? Emily's voice rose. Who my family is? I know exactly who you are, I said quietly. The question is, do you? Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her expression shifted from anger to something else. Fear? That's Randolph, she said. He's waiting downstairs. We're meeting the wedding planner. How nice. Give him my best. Her eyes narrowed. You know, he never talks about you anymore. It's like you don't exist. The words hit their mark, but I kept my face neutral. And you're okay with that? A man who can so easily erase his mother. He's evolved beyond his limitations. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and don't bother coming to the engagement party. We're keeping it intimate, upper echelon only. After she left, I pulled up the social media post she'd made that morning. Planning my dream wedding with my soulmate. Nightlife, South love wins. The comments section was revealing. Didn't you get engaged to James last year? Comment deleted. Wasn't Brad your soulmate 6 months ago? User blocked. I was still scrolling when Theo burst into my office. Have you seen this? He thrust his phone at me. A video played. Emily, at a private club, draped over a man who definitely wasn't Randolph. When was this taken? Last night. My cousin works there. Theo ran a hand through his hair. I tried to show Randy, but he blocked my number. I saved the video, then opened my email. The foundation's quarterly report sat in my drafts folder, waiting for my signature. With it, Emily's entire renovation project would either live or die. What are you going to do? Theo asked. My phone rang. Randolph's name flashed on the screen. For a moment, hope fluttered in my chest. Mom. His voice was tense. Emily said you're blocking the foundation's project. There are conditions that need to be met. Cut the bureaucratic crap, he snapped. This is important to Emily, to our future. Your future? I looked at Theo's phone, still showing the damning video. Randolph, there's something you need to know. Save it. Emily told me you'd try to sabotage this, said you couldn't handle seeing me succeed beyond your, what did she call it? Limited social sphere. Each word was a knife, but I pressed on. The foundation exists to help people, not destroy communities. Right, because you're such an expert on the foundation. He laughed coldly. Just sign the papers, Mom, or I'll make sure you never work in philanthropy again. The line went dead. Theo placed a hand on my shoulder. He doesn't mean it. That's not him talking. No, I said, opening Milton's letter again. That's Emily talking, and Tabitha, and everyone else who thinks money equals worth. I picked up the engagement invitation, then slowly tore it in half. What now? Theo asked. I pulled up Emily's social media again, noting the location tags from her recent posts. A pattern emerged, the same private club, same time each week, same mystery man. Now, I said, we let karma do its work, but first, we make sure it has all the help it needs. I began typing an email to Emily. Regarding your urgent funding request, I believe we should meet. Same time next week? I hear the Oak Room at the Metropolitan Club is lovely on Thursday evenings. Theo read over my shoulder and whistled. That's the same place. Exactly. I hit send. Sometimes the best engagement gift is the truth. The Metropolitan Club's Oak Room dripped with old money and secrets. I arrived early, choosing a table with a clear view of Emily's usual spot. Right on schedule, she walked in, but not alone. I can't keep meeting like this, she was saying to the man beside her. Randolph's getting suspicious. Come on, Emmy, the man replied, his hand sliding down her back. You know I'm more fun than that trust fund puppet. I cleared my throat. Hello, Emily. She froze, color draining from her face. Zaylee, what are you doing here? I gestured to the chair across from me. We had a meeting scheduled about the foundation's funding. Her companion shifted uncomfortably. I should go. No, please stay, I said. This concerns you too, considering you're dating the foundation's future director's fiancé. Emily grabbed my arm. Outside, now. In the hallway, her carefully crafted poise cracked. You set me up. Actually, you set yourself up. I just made a dinner reservation. What do you want? Her voice trembled. Money, a position on the board. I pulled out Milton's letters. I want you to read these. Grandfather's letters. I've seen them all. Not these. I handed them over. He wrote these to me. Her hands shook as she read. My dearest Zaylee, as executor of the foundation. Her head snapped up. You're the executor? For 5 years now. But that's impossible. Mother handles Your mother handles what I allow her to handle. I took the letters back. Milton knew what was happening to his family. The obsession with status, the manipulation, the lies. You don't understand, Emily whispered. Mother she always expects you to be perfect, to marry well, to maintain the family image. I softened my voice, even if it means destroying someone else's family. Tears smeared her expensive mascara. Randolph was convenient. The foundation needs new blood, Mother said. Someone we could mold. And what about love? She laughed bitterly. Love doesn't pay for galas or keep your name in the society pages. No, I agreed. It just keeps you human. Her phone buzzed. Randolph's face lit up the screen. She stared at it, then at me. Are you going to tell him? No, I said. You are. I can't. She wiped her eyes. Mother would. Your mother doesn't control the foundation anymore. I do. I stood up. You have 24 hours to tell Randolph the truth about everything, or I'll be forced to launch an ethics investigation into the foundation's recent activities. You wouldn't. Try me. I gathered my things. Oh, and Emily. The Arts District project. It's officially on hold until further notice. Wait, she called as I reached the door. What did grandfather say about me in those letters? I turned back. He said you reminded him of himself at your age, lost, trying to please everyone except yourself. I paused. He also said you were the only one brave enough to question things, once upon a time. I left her there, mascara stained and shaking, staring at her phone. Back at my office, Sergio was waiting. Well, it's done. I sank into my chair. Now we wait. For what? For Emily to make a choice. I pulled up the foundation's main account. And for Randolph to face reality. My phone buzzed with a text from Theo. Randy just called. First time in months. He sounds different. Another buzz. Emily posting on social media. Sometimes the hardest truth is the one we tell ourselves. Changes, Jaka clarity. Then another. Randolph, we need to talk. Please come to the house. Sergio whistled. Think she'll actually tell him. She has to. I opened my drawer, pulling out an old photo of Randolph and me at his high school graduation. Sometimes hitting bottom is the only way to start climbing. My phone rang. Randolph's name flashed on the screen. Mom? His voice was small, like when he was a child waking from a nightmare. Can we talk? I gripped the phone tighter. Of course, sweetheart. Not on the phone, in person, please. I looked at the clock, 9:47 p.m. Now, yeah, I'm actually outside your office. I rushed to the window. There he was, standing in the street, looking up. No designer suit, no careful pose, just my son, needing his mother. Come up, I said softly. Sergio squeezed my shoulder as he left. Want me to stay? I shook my head. This needs to be just us. The elevator dinged, and footsteps approached. I took a deep breath, remembering Milton's words. True wealth isn't in what we own, Zaylee. It's in what we're brave enough to lose. The door opened. Randolph stood in my doorway, his expensive suit wrinkled, his hair a mess. He looked like he'd aged years in a single evening. She's been cheating on me, he said flatly. The whole time. I moved toward him, but he held up a hand. Don't, please. He paced the office. Did you know? I found out recently, yes. And the foundation? That was you all along? I nodded. He laughed, a hollow sound that broke my heart. So everyone's been lying to me. Everyone. Randolph. No, let me finish. He stopped pacing, facing me. Emily told me everything. About how Tabitha picked me out like some show dog to breed into their precious family line. About how they needed new blood for the foundation. About how his voice cracked. He slumped into a chair. About how they taught her to make me hate everything I came from, including you. The silence stretched between us, heavy with months of missed calls and empty chairs. You know what the worst part is? He looked up, eyes red. When Emily was telling me all this, confessing everything, you know what I felt? Relief. Relief. Because for months I've been pretending to be someone else. Someone who looks down on public schools and local artists. And he swallowed hard. And mothers who work for a living instead of organizing charity galas. My phone buzzed. Tabitha calling. I declined it. They're in complete meltdown mode, Randolph said. Tabitha's threatening lawsuits. Emily's locked herself in her room. And the foundation board is having an emergency meeting tomorrow. Let them meet, I said, pulling out Milton's letters. I have everything they need to see right here. Mom. He stood up suddenly. I need to show you something. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through photos until he found one. Him and Emily at a gala, both smiling perfectly. Look at my eyes in this picture, he said. I looked. They were empty. Now look at this. He scrolled to an old photo, him and me at his college graduation, both laughing at some forgotten joke. His eyes sparkled with real joy. I forgot who I was, he whispered. I forgot what happiness actually looks like. My phone buzzed again. Emily this time. Please, my mother's going crazy. We need to talk. You don't have to deal with them anymore, I said. Actually, I do. He straightened up, and for the first time in months, I saw my real son emerging. I need to face them, all of them. But first, he walked to my desk, picked up a pen, and wrote something on a piece of paper. What's that? I asked. My resignation from the Knight Foundation board. He handed it to me. I think it's time the foundation remembered what it was meant for. What Milton wanted. And Emily. He paused. She's as trapped as I was, maybe more. But I can't help her until I help myself. The office door opened. Theo stood there, slightly out of breath. Sorry, he said. Security called. Said there might be trouble. Behind him, we could hear Tabitha's voice getting closer, shrill with anger. Randolph squared his shoulders. I need to handle this. We'll handle it together, I said. He looked at me, really looked at me. For the first time in months. I don't deserve that, after how I treated you. You're my son, I said simply. That never changed. Tabitha burst in, designer heels clicking like weapons. How dare you, both of you? Do you have any idea what you've done to my family? Your family, Randolph's voice was steady. The one you tried to buy me into, or the one you tried to make me forget? Don't be dramatic, Tabitha snapped. We gave you everything. No, he said quietly. You took everything. My identity, my friendships, my relationship with my mother. But you know what? He smiled, a real smile that reached his eyes. I'm taking it all back. The foundation, Tabitha began, is in exactly the right hands. He cut in, nodding toward me. Milton knew what he was doing. Tabitha turned to me, her perfect mask cracking. You planned this, all of it. Actually, I said, you did. The moment you taught your daughter that love and worth could be bought. She raised her hand, but Randolph caught it before she could strike me. Leave, he said firmly. Now. After she stormed out, Theo cleared his throat. So, anyone up for late-night McDonald's? For old time's sake? Randolph looked at me, then at his oldest friend. Yeah, he said softly. I'd like that. As we left the office, my phone buzzed one last time. Emily, I'm sorry for everything. Tell Randolph. Tell him I hope he finds his way back to himself. I showed Randolph the message. Maybe, he said, She'll find her way too. We stepped into the elevator, mother, son, and best friend, heading toward greasy fries and real conversations. Toward healing. Toward home. 1 month after the confrontation in my office, I sat across from Randolph at our old favorite diner. He was stirring his coffee, wearing a plain sweater instead of his usual designer suits. "The Arts District Committee wants to meet with you," I said, sliding a folder across the table. "They have some ideas about preserving the local galleries. I'd like that." He opened the folder, then paused. "Is it weird that I miss working with the foundation?" "You can still be involved," I said. "Just differently now." The bell above the door chimed. Emily walked in, looking almost unrecognizable in jeans and a simple blouse. She spotted us and hesitated. "I can leave," she said. "Sit," Randolph said quietly. "We need to talk anyway." She slid into the booth beside me, hands fidgeting with a paper napkin. "I filed the paperwork yesterday. The engagement's officially canceled." "Good," Randolph said, then softer. "How are you holding up?" "Mother's not speaking to me." Emily attempted a smile. "Actually, no one in the family is. Except," she turned to me. "Grandfather knew, didn't he, about all of it?" I pulled out Milton's final letter. "He wrote this the day before he died. I think you should read it." Emily's hands shook as she unfolded the paper. "My dearest Emily, if you're reading this, you've finally found the courage I always knew you had. Remember when you were 7 and you gave your birthday money to the homeless man outside our church? Your mother was furious, but that's who you really are, someone who sees beyond the surface. Don't let them polish that away. Love, Grandfather." Tears splashed onto the paper. "I forgot about that," she whispered. "I forgot so much." "We all did," Randolph said. "But we can remember now." The waitress arrived with more coffee. "You kids okay?" "Getting there," I said. Emily wiped her eyes. "I have something to tell you both. I'm moving out of the mansion. Got a job teaching art at the community center." "Teaching art?" Randolph looked surprised. "I didn't know you. I used to paint. Before Mother decided it wasn't appropriate for a night." She pulled out her phone, showing us a photo of a vibrant abstract canvas. "Started again last week. It's beautiful," I said. "The community center's in the Arts District," she added quietly. "The one we almost destroyed." Randolph reached across the table, squeezing her hand briefly. "Maybe that's where you were meant to be all along." My phone buzzed. "Sergio. Board meeting in an hour. The vultures are circling." "The foundation board's meeting today," I said. "They're voting on the new direction." "Mother's probably lined up her supporters," Emily said. "Probably," I agreed. "But they forgot one thing." "What's that?" "Milton left controlling interest to the executor." I smiled. "Me?" Randolph laughed, his real laugh, the one I'd missed for so long. "Karma's not just a punishment, is it? Sometimes it's a rescue." "Speaking of rescue," Emily said, "I heard something interesting about Mother's private accounts." She pulled out a USB drive. "Found this in Grandfather's study. Thought you might want to see it before the board meeting." I plugged it into my laptop. Documents filled the screen. Evidence of years of financial manipulation. "She's been skimming from the foundation," Emily said, "using charity events to funnel money into private accounts. That's why she was so desperate to maintain control," Randolph realized. "And why she needed you," I added, a fresh face to take over while she covered her tracks. Emily stood up. "I should go. My art class starts in an hour." "Emily," Randolph called as she turned to leave. "Thank you for telling the truth." She nodded, then looked at me. "Zaylee, the foundation, use it well, like Grandfather wanted." After she left, Randolph moved to my side of the booth. "Need backup at the board meeting?" "You sure you're ready for that?" "Mom," he said. "I'm ready to be myself again, whatever that means." We drove to the foundation building together. In the lobby, Theo was waiting. "Heard there might be fireworks," he grinned. "Thought you could use a witness." Randolph hugged him. "Missed you, man." "Prove it. Mario Kart marathon this weekend?" "You're on." The elevator dinged. Tabitha stood inside, her smile brittle when she saw us. "Coming up?" she asked sweetly. "Actually," I said, holding up the USB drive, "we all are." As we rode up in tense silence, I thought about Milton's words about karma, how it wasn't just about punishment, but about restoration, about finding your way back to who you really are. The boardroom doors loomed ahead. Randolph squeezed my hand. "Ready?" he asked. I looked at my son, really looked at him. The artificial polish was gone, replaced by something real and warm and familiar. "Ready," I said, and pushed open the doors. The autumn breeze carried the scent of fresh paint and coffee as I walked through the renovated arts district. Not Emily and Tabitha's version of renovation. No luxury boutiques or overpriced cafes. Instead, local artists had transformed the old buildings with vibrant murals, and the galleries remained exactly where they belonged. "Mom," Randolph waved from the entrance of the community center. "You're just in time." Inside, Emily stood before a group of young artists, teaching them brush techniques. Her own paintings lined the walls, raw, honest works that would have horrified Tabitha. "The foundation's grant came through," she said, wiping paint from her hands. "We can expand the free classes next month." "That's not all," Randolph added. "Show her the letter." Emily pulled out an envelope bearing an official letterhead. "The State Arts Council wants to partner with us. They're calling it a model program for community preservation." My phone buzzed. A news alert about Tabitha. After the board meeting exposed her embezzlement, she'd fled to Europe. Last I heard, she was living in a modest apartment in Madrid. All her accounts frozen. "The gallery opening starts in an hour," Randolph said. "But first, there's something you need to see." He led me to a small room at the back of the center. Inside, dozens of photographs covered the walls. Not polished society portraits, but real moments. Theo and Randolph playing video games. Emily teaching art to homeless youth. Me, caught mid-laugh at the diner. "It's called Coming Home," Emily explained. "A documentary project about finding your way back to yourself." In the center of the display hung Milton's last letter, now framed. Below it sat a simple plaque. "In honor of those who teach us that real wealth lives in the heart." "There's one more thing," Randolph said. "The foundation board approved it this morning." He handed me a document. "The Milton Knight Community Arts Initiative," it read. And below that, "Director of Operations, Randolph Warren." "You're staying?" I asked. "Someone needs to make sure the foundation remembers its purpose," he said. "Besides, I like who I am here." The door opened and Theo burst in, carrying a stack of flyers. "Galleries packed already. Even that critic from the Times showed up." "Did you tell them about the surprise?" Emily asked. "What surprise?" I looked between them. Randolph grinned. "Follow me." We walked to the main gallery space. There, on the central wall, hung a massive collaborative piece. Local artists had each contributed a section, creating a patchwork of styles and stories. The plaque beside it read, "Community, a portrait of real wealth." "Look closer," Emily said. In the center, worked seamlessly into the design, was a portrait of Milton, his kind eyes watching over the space he'd helped preserve. "He would have loved this," I whispered. "He does love it," Randolph said. Through us, the gallery doors opened and people began streaming in. Not society figures in designer clothes, but real people from the neighborhood. Artists, students, families. Among them, I spotted Sergio, beaming with pride. "Remember what you told me?" Randolph asked. "That night in your office. I told you a lot of things that night. You said karma isn't just punishment, it's restoration." He looked around the gallery, at the community we'd helped preserve. "You were right." Emily approached, holding 3 coffee cups from the local shop next door, the one we'd saved from displacement. "To Milton," she said, raising her cup. "To restoration," Randolph added. "To real wealth," I finished. As we stood there, watching the gallery fill with life and color and honest joy, I thought about that lonely Christmas dinner that felt like a lifetime ago, about empty chairs and artificial smiles, and the hollow echo of what we thought was success. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown European number. You were right. About everything. I showed it to Randolph and Emily. Think she'll find her way back? Emily asked. Everyone can, Randolph said, if they're brave enough to try. Outside, the autumn sun painted the arts district in warm gold. Through the gallery windows, I could see the community Milton had loved so much. Still thriving, still creating, still real. Inside, my son stood tall and genuine, no longer hidden behind a polished facade. Mom? Randolph touched my arm. The critic wants to talk to the foundation director. That's you now, I reminded him. He smiled, his real smile, the one that reached his eyes. Maybe, but I learned from the best. As he walked away to greet the critic, Emily squeezed my hand. Thank you, she said simply, for showing us what wealth really means. I watched them both move through the gallery, my son and the woman who'd almost been my daughter-in-law, now finding their own paths, their own truth, their own way home. Sometimes karma doesn't just restore what was lost. Sometimes it helps you build something better, something real.
The manila envelope felt heavy in my hands, like it contained more than just paper. My fingers trembled as I traced the embossed law firm logo, already knowing what waited inside. The return address confirmed my worst fears. Bryant and Associates. Of course, Xander would use his own firm to serve me. I'm Vienna, and until 6 months ago, I was married to a man I thought was my biggest supporter. Now he's become my worst nightmare. Taking a moment to connect with you. Where in the world has this story reached you? Comment below and don't forget to subscribe for daily tales of justice. Back to what happened next. You need to open it, V, my brother Sean said from across my kitchen counter. The same kitchen where I'd spent countless nights perfecting recipes, where Xander had first kissed me, where I'd shared my dreams of opening a culinary institute focused on traditional Sicilian cuisine. I know what it says. I slammed the envelope down next to the cutting board where I'd been prepping ingredients for tonight's private dining event. He's suing me for stealing his business concept. My business concept. Open it anyway. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with. The sharp scent of fresh basil filled the air as I roughly chopped the herbs, probably with more force than necessary. You know what kills me? He watched me develop this idea for years. All those nights I spent researching my grandmother's recipes, the trips to Sicily to learn from local chefs, the endless test runs of every dish. He was there for all of it. Vienna, stop destroying that basil and open the damn envelope. I wiped my hands on my apron and tore open the seal. The legal jargon swam before my eyes, but certain phrases jumped out like neon signs. Intellectual property infringement, damages in excess of 500,000 Tausenders, immediate cessation of operations. He's trying to shut down the institute before it even opens, my voice cracked. Everything I've worked for. The kitchen door swung open and Riker burst in, his chef's whites already stained from prep work. Boss, the Hendersons just called. They're bringing an extra 4 guests tonight. He stopped short when he saw my face. What's wrong? I handed him the papers. His eyes widened as he scanned them. This is insane, he said. Everyone knows this was your idea. Sarah even wrote about your concept in that culinary magazine piece last year. The magazine. I'd forgotten about that. My mentor Sarah had featured me in her column, documenting my journey to preserve traditional Sicilian cooking techniques. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. Not now, I muttered, declining the call. Actually, Sean said, you should talk to Mom. She might have some insights about handling Xander. She never did trust him, remember? Yeah, and I should have listened. I grabbed a wine glass from the rack, then thought better of it. I needed a clear head. But first we have a dinner service to get through. Riker, tell Marco to double the risotto prep. I'll adjust the rest of the portions. You sure you're up for cooking tonight? Sean asked. I tied my apron strings tighter. Cooking is the only thing keeping me sane right now. Besides, I have 8 people paying good money to eat my food. I'm not letting Xander ruin that too. Riker hesitated by the door. We're all behind you, you know that, right? The whole kitchen crew. Thanks. I managed a small smile. Now go prep those extra portions before I start crying into the marinara sauce. After they left, I stood alone in my kitchen, surrounded by the familiar comfort of herbs and spices. The lawsuit papers mocked me from the counter. 6 months ago, I'd signed divorce papers in Xander's office, thinking that was the end of it. I should have known better. He'd always been calculating, always 3 steps ahead. My phone buzzed again. A text from Mom this time. Call me. I know about the lawsuit. There's something you need to know about Xander. Before I could respond, the kitchen door swung open again. Chef, called Marco, my sous chef. The first guests are arriving early. Should we adjust the timing? I straightened my spine and tucked the papers into my office drawer. No adjustments needed. We stick to the plan. I grabbed my chef's knife, its weight familiar and reassuring in my hand. Time to show everyone what real Sicilian cooking tastes like. But as I called out prep orders and orchestrated the kitchen's controlled chaos, my mind kept circling back to one thought. Xander wasn't just trying to steal my business. He was trying to erase my heritage, my grandmother's legacy, everything that made me who I am. Well, he'd picked the wrong chef to mess with. In Sicily, they say revenge is a dish best served cold. But I've always preferred my revenge like my marinara, slow-simmered and prepared with absolute precision. I picked up my phone and texted Mom back. Coming over after service, tell me everything. The kitchen timer dinged, and I pushed thoughts of lawsuits and betrayal aside. I had a dinner service to run. But tomorrow I'd start cooking up something special just for Xander. Mum's kitchen smelled like Sunday gravy, the rich aroma of tomatoes and herbs filling every corner. She stirred the pot while I sat at her worn oak table, clutching a cup of espresso that had gone cold. He did the same thing to Sarah, Mum said, her wooden spoon clicking against the pot's edge. 15 years ago, before he even passed the bar. Sarah? My Sarah? I set the cup down so hard coffee sloshed onto the table. My mentor, Sarah? Why do you think she was so eager to feature you in that magazine? Mum wiped her hands on her apron and sat across from me. She wanted documentation, proof. She knew exactly what Xander was capable of. The pieces started falling into place. That's why she always seemed uncomfortable around him at industry events. Call her, Mum insisted, sliding her phone across the table. She's been waiting for this day. My hands shook as I dialed Sarah's number. She answered on the first ring like she'd been expecting my call. Vienna, darling. I heard about the lawsuit. How did you... News travels fast in the culinary world. Listen carefully. I have everything you need. Photos, notes, dated correspondence about your concept going back 5 years. And something else. Proof that Xander tried to steal my restaurant concept back when he was a law student working as my busboy. I nearly dropped the phone. What? He didn't succeed with me because I caught him photographing my business plans. I should have pressed charges, but I was young and scared of legal battles. I just fired him and warned other restaurant owners about him. Why didn't you tell me when I started dating him? Would you have believed me? You were in love. Her voice softened. But now you're ready to hear the truth. Come to my restaurant tomorrow morning. Bring your brother. You'll need a witness. After hanging up, I looked at Mom. Did you know about this the whole time? I found out after your engagement. Sarah swore me to secrecy, said you needed to see his true colors yourself. She returned to her sauce, adding a pinch of oregano. Sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones we have to learn on our own. My phone buzzed. Riker calling. Boss, you need to see this. Xander's at the Institute construction site with some suits. What? I'll be right there. I grabbed my keys, kissed Mom's cheek and rushed out. 15 minutes later, I pulled up to the construction site of what was supposed to be my culinary institute. Riker waited by his car, pointing to where Xander stood with 2 men in expensive suits gesturing at the building. They're taking measurements, Riker said, like they're already planning to take over the space. I marched toward them, my boots crunching on gravel. Xander turned, his practiced smile never wavering. Vienna, you're looking well. Get off my property. Technically, once the judge grants the injunction, this property's ownership will be in question. He gestured to the men beside him. My associates are just doing their due diligence. Due diligence? I laughed, the sound harsh and bitter. Like when you did your due diligence photographing Sarah's business plans 15 years ago. His smile flickered for just a moment, barely noticeable, but there. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Should we call Sarah and ask her? I'm sure she'd love to testify about your history of stealing business concepts. The suited men exchanged glances. Xander's jaw tightened. These are baseless accusations. We'll let the judge decide that. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Now I'll say it again. Get off my property. After they left, Riker whistled low. That was intense. What's this about Sarah? It's our silver bullet. I showed him the construction plans spread across my phone. Call everyone. Emergency meeting at my place in an hour. We're not just fighting this lawsuit, we're going to bury him with it. Back home, I spread everything across my kitchen counter. Sarah's magazine article, construction plans, my grandmother's original recipes, years of documented research. Sean arrived with takeout, and Riker brought our kitchen crew's statements about the concept's development. Sarah's bringing her evidence tomorrow, I told them. But we need more. Emery, can you dig into any other complaints against Xander's firm? There might be a pattern. Emery, our legal assistant friend, nodded. Already on it. And Vienna? You should represent yourself. What? I'm not a lawyer. No, but you know this business better than anyone. Plus, judges love self-represented parties who actually know their stuff. It makes Xander look worse for trying to bully you. I stared at the scattered papers, each one a piece of the truth I needed to tell. You know what? You're right. If Xander wants to play dirty, I'll show him how we handle things in a real kitchen. No shortcuts, no stolen recipes, just pure, honest work. Sean raised his coffee cup. To watching my sister serve justice. With a side of karma, Riker added. I smiled, feeling stronger than I had in days. Tomorrow I'd meet with Sarah and start building my case. Xander thought he could steal my dream. He was about to learn that some recipes can't be copied, they have to be lived. Sarah's restaurant was quiet at 7 a.m., the morning light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. She laid out a thick manila folder on a table while her staff prepared for breakfast service. Everything's here, she said, spreading photographs across the table. Look at the dates on these. I picked up a photo showing Xander hunched over Sarah's desk, photographing documents with his phone. The timestamp showed February 15th, 15 years ago. I had installed security cameras after some wine went missing, Sarah explained. Never expected to catch a wannabe lawyer stealing business plans instead. Emery burst through the door, waving her tablet. You're not going to believe what I found. 3 other restaurants filed complaints against Xander's firm in the past year, all claiming he approached them about representation, then suddenly their business concepts showed up in other clients' establishments. Did any of them sue? Sean asked. They couldn't afford to, but they're willing to testify now. Sarah pulled out more documents. Add these to your evidence. Full documentation of my concept, dated and notarized, plus photos of Xander stealing it. And this, she slid over a USB drive, contains security footage. My phone buzzed. A text from Riker. Emergency at the site. Come quick. I have to go, I said, gathering the evidence. Something's wrong at the institute. When I arrived, I found construction workers standing idle while a man in a suit posted notices on the fence. Stop work order, Riker explained, his face grim. Xander's firm pushed it through this morning. He can't do that! I marched up to the suit. On what grounds? He barely glanced at me. Property ownership dispute. All construction must cease until resolved. That's my life savings going to waste every day these workers stand idle, I said, my voice rising. People are counting on jobs here. Take it up with the court. He walked away, leaving the bright orange notices fluttering in the breeze. I called Emery. How fast can we get a hearing? I've been working on that. Judge Martinez had a cancellation tomorrow morning. I can get us in, but Vienna... She paused. Are you sure you're ready? Xander's bringing his whole legal team. I don't have a choice. Every day we wait is another day he wins. Back at my apartment, we worked through the night. Sean ordered pizza while Emery coached me on courtroom protocol. Riker and the kitchen crew came by after service to help organize evidence. "Remember," Emery said, "Xander will try to rattle you. Stay calm. Stick to facts." "Like keeping a level head during a dinner rush," Riker added, sorting photos into chronological order. "Except the customers are trying to destroy your life," I muttered. Around midnight, Mom showed up with coffee and her special cannoli. "Your grandmother fought harder battles than this," she said, setting the pastries down. "She crossed an ocean with nothing but her recipes and her courage. I wish she was here." "She is," Mum touched my heart. "In every recipe you preserve, every technique you teach. Xander's trying to steal more than a business plan. He's trying to steal your heritage. Don't let him." At 3 a.m., everyone finally left. I stood in my kitchen, surrounded by scattered papers and empty coffee cups. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. It was a photo of Xander at dinner with a woman I recognized, the health inspector who'd been unusually harsh during my last review. "Thought you should see this," the message read. "I'm his paralegal. There's more where this came from." I forwarded it to Emery, my hands shaking. "Can we use this?" "Oh, yes," she replied immediately. "This proves he's tampering with your business through unofficial channels. Save everything." I couldn't sleep, so I did what I always do when stressed. I cooked. By sunrise, my kitchen counters were lined with containers of pasta sauce, each batch tweaked slightly as I worked through my anxiety. Sean found me there stirring another pot. "Did you sleep at all?" "Couldn't, but I perfected Nonna's arrabbiata sauce." He tasted it and raised his eyebrows. "This is different." Added extra chilies. Figured if I'm going to face Xander in court, I might as well be as fierce as my sauce. "Speaking of which," he checked his watch, "we need to get you dressed and to the courthouse in an hour." I looked down at my sauce-splattered chef's coat. "Right, lawyer clothes. You've got this, sis." Sean squeezed my shoulder. "Just remember, you're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for every chef who's ever had their dreams stolen." I nodded, thinking of Sarah, of my grandmother, of all the women who'd fought to make their mark in the culinary world. Xander thought he was facing a simple chef in court today. He was about to learn that in my family, recipes aren't just instructions. They're weapons of war. "Time to show him," I said, untying my apron. "Exactly what I'm made of." The courtroom felt colder than my walk-in freezer. Xander sat with his legal team, their suits probably worth more than my monthly food costs. I smoothed my borrowed blazer, Mom's from her real estate days, and tried to look confident. Judge Martinez peered over her glasses. "Ms. Rice, you're representing yourself?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Very well. Mr. Bryant, proceed with your motion for injunctive relief." Xander's lead attorney stood. "Your Honor, my client developed the concept for this culinary institute. Ms. Rice's attempt to implement it constitutes intellectual property theft." "Objection," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I can prove the concept's origins." "Proceed," Judge Martinez said, as I opened Sarah's folder. "I submit into evidence a published article from Culinary Quarterly, dated 18 months ago, detailing my development of this concept." I handed copies to the clerk. "Additionally, I have documented research trips to Sicily, dated correspondence with Italian chefs, and business plans predating my marriage to Mr. Bryant." Xander's attorney smirked. "Anyone can write plans. Mr. Bryant has proof he developed the financial and operational framework." "Really?" I pulled out my phone. "Would the court like to see security footage of Mr. Bryant photographing my private business documents without consent? Or perhaps evidence of him interfering with my health inspections?" The smirk vanished. Xander whispered urgently to his team. "Your Honor," I continued, "I call Sarah Newton as my first witness." Sarah walked in, her chef's whites pristine, her presence commanding. She took the oath and sat. "Ms. Newton, please tell the court about your history with Mr. Bryant." "Objection!" Xander's attorney jumped up. "Irrelevant to current proceedings." "Your Honor," I countered, "this establishes a pattern of behavior directly relevant to this case." I'll allow it, Judge Martinez said. Proceed. Sarah leaned forward. 15 years ago, Xander Bryant worked in my restaurant while attending law school. I caught him photographing my confidential business plans. He later attempted to sell my concept to a competitor. The courtroom buzzed. Judge Martinez banged her gavel. I have documented proof, Sarah continued, including security footage and witness statements. Xander's face had turned the color of undercooked pasta. His attorney requested a brief recess, which the judge granted. In the hallway, Sean handed me a water bottle. You're killing it in there. Thanks to Sarah. I watched Xander huddle with his team. But he's got something planned. I can tell by his face, same look he'd get before lying about working late. Emery rushed up, waving her phone. The paralegal sent more. Texts between Xander and the health inspector planning surprise visits to disrupt your business. Perfect timing. I forwarded them to my email as we returned to the courtroom. Xander's attorney called their star witness, my former sous chef, Michael. Ms. Rice discussed her plans extensively with Mr. Bryant, Michael testified. He contributed significantly to the concept's development. Mr. Michael, I approached the stand. When did you leave my employment? 3 months ago. And where do you work now? He shifted uncomfortably. Bryant Hospitality Group. Isn't it true that Mr. Bryant offered you a position with his company the day after you quit? Objection? Speculation? Xander's attorney called. I have text messages, I said, holding up my phone, between Mr. Bryant and the witness, dated before his resignation, discussing his future employment. Judge Martinez's eyes narrowed. I'd like to see those messages. The next hour was a blur of evidence presentation. I showed the health inspector photos, the documented timeline of my concept development, and statements from other restaurant owners who'd encountered similar situations with Xander's firm. Finally, Judge Martinez spoke. I've seen enough to deny the motion for injunctive relief. Ms. Rice may continue construction of her institute. She fixed Xander with a stern look. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the State Bar Association for ethics review. The gallery erupted in whispers. Xander stormed out, his legal team scrambling after him. Sarah hugged me tight. Your grandmother would be so proud. It's not over, I said, watching Xander's retreating back. He'll appeal. Let him. Emery grinned. I've got more evidence coming. That paralegal's ready to turn over everything. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited with cameras. Sean tried to shield me, but I stepped forward. Ms. Rice, what's your response to today's ruling? I thought of my grandmother, of all the recipes she'd carried across an ocean, of all the women who'd fought to make their culinary dreams reality. The institute will open as planned, I said clearly, because some things can't be stolen. Passion, heritage, truth. Those have to be earned in the kitchen, one dish at a time. As we walked away, my phone buzzed with a text from Riker. Construction crews ready to restart tomorrow. We're back in business, boss. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in months. Xander had tried to steal my dream, but he'd forgotten the first rule of any kitchen. Never underestimate a chef who knows exactly what she's fighting for. The construction site hummed with activity as workers resumed their tasks. I stood watching the framework of my dream take shape when Riker rushed over, his face tense. We've got trouble. Someone leaked your grandmother's recipes online. My stomach dropped. What? He showed me his tablet. There they were, Nonna's sacred recipes, posted on a popular food blog, the ones I'd kept locked in my office safe, the ones only Xander had access to during our marriage. There's more, Riker said. The blogger claims these are traditional recipes anyone can use, and that you're trying to monopolize common knowledge. My phone rang. Sarah calling. Turn on Channel 7 now. Riker pulled up the news livestream on his tablet. There was Xander standing outside his law office, looking appropriately concerned for the cameras. My ex-wife's claims of recipe ownership are questionable at best, he was saying. These are traditional Sicilian recipes that belong to the culture, not any individual. Her attempt to profit from them is ethically dubious. That snake, Riker muttered. Get everyone to my place, I said. Now. An hour later, my kitchen was packed. Sean, Sarah, Emery, and my core team crowded around the counter while Mom stress-baked cannoli in the background. "He's trying to undermine your credibility," Emery said. "Make it look like you're exploiting cultural heritage for profit." "But that's not what the Institute is about." I slammed my hand on the counter. "It's about preserving techniques, teaching authentic methods." "We know that," Sarah interrupted, "but public perception is everything. You need to get ahead of this narrative." My phone buzzed, a text from the paralegal. "Meeting happening now, Z planning big move, watch your back." As if on cue, Riker's phone lit up. "Boss, you need to see this. They're outside the construction site." We rushed to the site. A group of protesters stood at the fence holding signs. "Culture isn't property and stop the recipe theft." "This is orchestrated," Sean said. "Look at their signs. All professional printing, same design." A news van pulled up. Xander stepped out, straightening his tie. "Oh, hell no." I marched toward him, Sarah and Sean flanking me. "Vienna," he said smoothly as cameras turned our way. "Come to address the concerns about cultural appropriation." "The only one appropriating anything is you," I shot back. "Tell them about the recipes you stole from my safe. Tell them about the other restaurants you've threatened." "I'm simply protecting cultural heritage from exploitation." "Exploitation?" Mom's voice cut through the crowd as she pushed forward. "My mother carried these recipes across an ocean. She taught them to her children in a tiny apartment kitchen while working 3 jobs. They're not just recipes, they're our family's story." The protesters fell quiet. Mom's voice shook with emotion as she continued. "Every dish has a memory. The arancini she made when we were sick. The sauce that simmered all Sunday while she told us stories about Sicily. My daughter isn't stealing culture. She's preserving it, teaching it, honoring it." Cameras swung toward Mom. Xander's practiced smile faltered. "And you," Mom pointed at him. "You sat at my table, ate my mother's recipes, pretended to care about our heritage. Then you stole not just recipes, but memories. Family history." A protester lowered her sign. Others followed. Sarah stepped forward. "I can verify everything she's saying. I've documented Vienna's journey to preserve these techniques for years. This institute isn't about ownership. It's about education, preservation, and respect for culinary heritage. The real story here," I said to the cameras, "is how a lawyer manipulated cultural sensitivity to attack a legitimate culinary school. Ask yourself why he waited until after losing in court to suddenly care about cultural appropriation." The news reporter turned back to Xander. "Mr. Bryant, how do you respond to allegations that you stole these recipes from your ex-wife's private safe?" Xander's face reddened. "No comment." He retreated to his car as protesters began dispersing. Later that evening, my phone exploded with notifications. The video of Mum's speech had gone viral. Comments poured in from Italian-American families sharing their own recipe stories, their own memories of grandmothers teaching traditional techniques. "Look at this," Emery said, showing me her laptop. 3 more paralegals from Xander's firm want to come forward. They're saying he's done this to other businesses too." "We've got him on the ropes," Sean said. "Maybe," I replied, watching the construction crews work under the setting sun. "But he's desperate now. That makes him dangerous." Mom appeared with a plate of fresh cannoli. "Then we'll be ready. You know what Nonna always said, a watched pot never boils, but it also never boils over." I took a cannoli, the sweet ricotta filling bringing back memories of countless family gatherings. "You're right. Let him make his moves. We've got something he'll never have." "What's that?" Riker asked. I smiled, thinking of all the people gathered in my kitchen fighting alongside me. Authentic ingredients. The courtroom fell silent as Xander's surprise witness took the stand. Maria, my grandmother's former kitchen assistant from 20 years ago, smoothed her skirt and avoided my eyes. "Ms. Maria," Xander's attorney began, "please tell the court about your role in developing these recipes." "I worked with Vienna's grandmother for 10 years, Maria said. "Many of these recipes were collaborative efforts. I helped create them." The betrayal hit like a splash of hot oil. I'd known Maria since childhood, had watched her and Nonna work side by side in the kitchen. And did Mrs. Rice ever compensate you for your contributions? Xander's attorney asked. Objection. I stood. This witness's claims are impossible to verify after 20 years. Overruled, Judge Martinez said, but keep it relevant to the current case. Maria continued. These recipes weren't just one person's work. They belonged to the whole kitchen. I grabbed the folder Mom had brought me that morning. Your Honor, I'd like to present new evidence. Approaching the bench, I pulled out a yellow document. This is my grandmother's original employment contract with Maria, dated 23 years ago. Section 4 specifically states that all recipes developed in the kitchen remain the property of the restaurant. Maria's face paled. Xander's attorney scrambled to examine the contract. Furthermore, I continued, I have my grandmother's original recipe journal with dated entries going back 30 years. Every recipe includes notes about its origin, which village in Sicily, which family member taught it to her, even which mistakes led to improvements. I opened the worn leather journal, and here, when Maria did contribute ideas, Nonna credited her. See these margin notes? Maria's suggestion, more garlic in the pesto. She acknowledged collaboration while maintaining clear ownership. Your Honor, Xander's attorney interrupted. This doesn't change the fact that these are traditional recipes. Actually, Sarah stood from the gallery, I can speak to that. As a certified culinary historian, I can confirm that Vienna's grandmother's recipes contain unique modifications. They're not copies of traditional dishes. They're innovations based on tradition. Judge Martinez examined the journal. Ms. Rice, these notes are remarkably detailed. My grandmother believed in documentation, Your Honor. She knew someday someone might try to steal her life's work. I looked directly at Xander. She just never imagined it would be family. Maria burst into tears. I'm sorry, Vienna. He promised to fund my own restaurant if I testified. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Judge Martinez banged her gavel. Your Honor, I said, I'd like to call one more witness. Xander's former paralegal. Xander jumped up. Objection. Attorney-client privilege. Doesn't apply, the paralegal said, walking in. When the attorney is committing fraud. She carried a thick folder. I have documented evidence of Mr. Bryant's systematic theft of business concepts, including emails discussing how to target vulnerable restaurant owners. This is hearsay, Xander's attorney protested. No, Emery stood, holding up her tablet. It's authenticated evidence. I've verified every document's metadata. The paralegal turned to Xander. I watched you destroy too many small businesses. Not anymore. Judge Martinez called a recess to review the new evidence. In the hallway, Maria approached me. Vienna, I'm so sorry. When Xander showed up at my door, talked about opening my own place. She wiped her eyes. I forgot who really taught me everything I know. Nonna would have helped you, I said quietly. All you had to do was ask. I know that now. She pulled out a folded paper. Here's the truth. Everything Xander promised, everything he planned. Use it. Back in the courtroom, Judge Martinez looked grimmer than ever. Mr. Bryant, she said, these allegations are extremely serious. I'm ordering an immediate investigation into your firm's practices. As for the matter at hand, she turned to me. Ms. Rice, your evidence clearly establishes your right to these recipes and business concepts. The court rules in your favor. Relief flooded through me, but the judge wasn't finished. Furthermore, Mr. Bryant is hereby ordered to cease all interference with Ms. Rice's business operations. Any violation will result in immediate sanctions. Outside, reporters swarmed us. Ms. Rice, what does this mean for the Institute? I thought of Nonna's journal, of all the margin notes and careful documentation of our family's culinary evolution. It means we're opening on schedule, I said, and our first class will be free for aspiring chefs who've had their dreams stolen, because sometimes the best revenge is sharing knowledge, not hoarding it. Sarah squeezed my shoulder. Your grandmother would have loved that. Speaking of sharing, Mom said, pulling out her phone, you might want to see this. The local news was running the story, but with an unexpected twist. Dozens of other restaurant owners had come forward, sharing similar stories about Xander's firm. Looks like you started a movement, Sean said. I watched Xander push through reporters, his career crumbling around him. He'd tried to steal my heritage, my future, my voice. Instead, he'd given me something unexpected. A platform to speak for everyone he'd ever tried to silence. Come on, I said to my team. We've got an institute to build. The institute's kitchen gleamed under bright lights, every surface spotless, every tool in its place. In 2 hours, we'd open our doors for the first time. I adjusted the framed photo of Nonna on the wall, right next to the entrance where every student would see it. Final inspection's done, Riker announced, bursting through the doors. We passed with flying colours. The health inspector actually smiled this time. Amazing what happens when they're not being bribed, Sean said, arranging welcome packets at each station. My phone buzzed, a news alert. I clicked it and nearly dropped the phone. What? Sarah asked, looking up from the prep list she was reviewing. Xander's been disbarred. The investigation found evidence of systematic fraud going back years. I showed them the article. They're calling it the biggest legal ethics scandal in the state's history. Good, Mom said, setting down a tray of fresh focaccia. Now maybe you can focus on what matters. The doors opened and Emery rushed in. You need to see this, now. She led us outside where a line of people stretched around the block. Not just our registered students, but dozens more, some holding signs. Thank you for fighting back, and culinary justice. They're here to support the opening, Emery explained. Word spread through the restaurant community. These are all people Xander tried to shut down over the years. A woman stepped forward from the crowd. I'm Amanda. He killed my food truck business last year. When I heard what you did, how you fought back, she gestured to the crowd. We all wanted to be here. We brought food, someone called out. Others held up dishes, the aromas mingling in the morning air. It's like a potluck of revenge, Riker whispered. I grabbed a clipboard. How many of you want to learn to cook? Hands shot up throughout the crowd. Right. I turned to my team. New plan. Riker, set up the demonstration kitchen for overflow classes. Sean, copy more welcome packets. Mom? Already calling for more ingredients, she said, phone to her ear. Sarah touched my arm. Vienna, your grandmother's kitchen could barely fit 10 people. Look what you've built. The morning flew by in a blur of activity. We squeezed extra students into every corner, set up video feeds to overflow rooms, and somehow managed to teach 3 simultaneous classes. I moved between kitchens, watching people learn to knead dough with the same techniques Nonna taught me. During the lunch break, Amanda found me in the main kitchen. I saved these, she said, pulling out crumpled papers. The cease and desist letters from Xander's firm. I was going to burn them, but, she smiled, I think they belong on your wall. Show everyone what you overcame. More people brought their stories and their papers. By afternoon, we had a wall of evidence, threatening letters, fraudulent claims, killed dreams. But beside each one, we posted a photo of the person cooking in our kitchen, learning to rebuild. It's like a memorial, Sarah said, but for revival, not loss. A commotion at the entrance drew our attention. Maria stood there, clutching a worn recipe box. I found these in my attic, she said quietly. Notes your grandmother gave me, techniques she taught me. They belong here with her legacy. I hugged her tight. Stay, teach with us. This is what Nonna would have wanted. The day ended with an impromptu feast. Every surface held dishes created by our first students, some perfect, some hilariously flawed, all made with passion. To new beginnings, Sarah raised her glass, and to Vienna, who reminded us all that the best revenge is living well and cooking better. To Nonna, Mom added, who taught us that recipes are love made visible. My phone buzzed one last time. Another news alert. Disgraced attorneys' victims unite. Culinary Institute becomes symbol of resistance. They got it wrong, I said to the gathered crowd. This isn't about resistance, it's about persistence. Every recipe that survives, every technique that gets passed on, every student who learns to create. That's not resistance. That's existence. That's heritage. That's life. Amanda raised her plate of slightly burnt but lovingly made garlic bread. To life, then, and to the chef who gave us back our voices. Speaking of voices, Riker called out, wait until they hear about our next project. What next project? I asked. He grinned. The waiting list for classes. It's long enough to fill 3 more institutes. I looked around at my expanded family, the students, the survivors, the creators. At Mom showing someone how to properly roll cannoli shells. At Sarah demonstrating the perfect sauce technique. At Maria sharing Nonna's notes with reverent hands. Well, I said, I guess we better start planning. Because that's what you do in a kitchen. You take what you have, you share what you know, and you keep creating. Not for revenge, not anymore. But for every person who ever had a dream worth fighting for. And somewhere, I knew, Nonna was smiling. Steam rose from dozens of pots as I walked through the main teaching kitchen, checking each student's progress. The familiar scent of garlic and herbs filled the air, mingling with the sound of chopping and sizzling. "Chef!" Amanda called from her station. "Is this what you mean by sauce shouldn't break?" I peered into her pot. "Almost. Lower the heat slightly. Remember what we said about patience?" "The sauce is like revenge," she grinned. "Best served at the proper temperature." The kitchen doors swung open and Riker burst in. "They're here. Food and Wine magazine crew just arrived." I wiped my hands on my apron. "Everyone keep cooking. This is about you, not me." The reporter Lisa met me in the entrance hall. She paused at our wall of testimonials, now covered with success stories instead of legal threats. "Impressive transformation," she said, nodding at a photo of Amanda's new restaurant opening. "But what inspired you to shift from revenge to rehabilitation?" "Watch," I said, leading her into the kitchen. Maria stood at the front demo station, teaching Nonna's signature arancini technique to a packed class. "The secret," she was saying, "isn't in the ingredients. It's in the stories we tell while we cook." "Maria was once my opponent in court," I explained to Lisa. "Now she's our most popular instructor. And these students all have similar stories. That woman there lost her catering business to predatory practices. Now she runs our advanced pastry program. The guy by the ovens, his food truck was shut down illegally. He just opened his second location." Sarah appeared with a stack of papers. "Vienna, the new curriculum proposals are ready. We've got waiting lists for 3 new programs." "Including?" I prompted. She smiled. "Legal basics for small business owners. Taught by reformed corporate lawyers who want to protect creative entrepreneurs instead of destroying them." Lisa scribbled notes. "So, this isn't just a cooking school anymore?" "It never was," Mom said, emerging from her office with fresh cannoli. "Try one. These were made by students who thought they'd lost everything. Taste their comeback." The kitchen doors burst open again. Sean rushed in, waving his tablet. "You're trending again, sis." "What now?" Xander gave an interview, trying to defend himself. Social media exploded with institute success stories. People are sharing how you helped them rebuild. Lisa bit into a cannoli, her eyes widening. "This is incredible." "That's Nonna's recipe," I said. But the student added cardamom. "See? Heritage evolves. It grows." That's what Xander never understood. "And what about him?" Lisa asked. "Any contact since the disbarment?" "No need." I gestured around the bustling kitchen. "This is better than any revenge. Every successful student, every new business, every adapted recipe, they're all proof that authenticity wins." Emery appeared with more news. "The State Bar Association wants you to speak at their ethics conference, and 3 more cities have requested institute branches." "Expansion plans?" Lisa raised an eyebrow. "Maybe." I watched Amanda plate her perfectly emulsified sauce. "But not just physical growth, we're building something bigger." "A movement," Sarah added. "A family," Mum corrected. The kitchen timer dinged. Students began plating their dishes for evaluation. I watched them work, seeing echoes of Nonna's techniques merged with their own creative touches. "Final question," Lisa said. "What would you tell someone facing what you faced?" Before I could answer, Amanda spoke up from her station. Chef taught us it's not about fighting back, it's about cooking forward. Others joined in. It's about preserving heritage while creating future. Building community through food. Finding your voice in the kitchen. I smiled at their enthusiasm. They answered better than I could. Lisa closed her notebook. One last thing. Would you make me something? I want to taste the dish that started it all. I tied my apron tighter. Better idea. I'll teach you how to make it yourself. As I guided her through Nonna's signature pasta, I realized something. The revenge I'd craved had transformed into something far more satisfying, not just teaching recipes, but sharing strength. Every person in this kitchen had faced their own Xander, their own betrayal. But here they were, creating, evolving, thriving. The wall that once held evidence of destruction now showcased creation. Where legal threats once hung, student achievements gleamed. We'd built something no lawsuit could touch, no betrayal could break. The sauce is ready, Lisa announced proudly. Perfect timing, I said, because that's the real secret, knowing when to let go of anger and embrace possibility instead. The kitchen hummed with energy, dozens of stories simmering together into something new. This wasn't the revenge I'd planned. It was better. It was legacy. I touched Nonna's photo on the wall. She'd taught me that recipes were love made visible, but now I understood. They were also courage made tangible, heritage made endless, and redemption made delicious. The timer dinged again. Another class ready to plate, another group ready to rise. Time to taste what they'd created. After all, the best dishes aren't served cold. They're served with hope, seasoned with triumph, and shared with family, both old and new.